June 20th meeting of the Ashland Board of Health. And there are a number of people recording. It's WACA-TV and KG Nariana, and also Mark Oram is recording the meeting. The meeting tonight is to simply adopt our meeting minutes that have been going back to December. There are 13 meeting minutes that we have to address tonight, and this was planned to be a session where we could collaborate. Unfortunately, I set up the table. I thought that we were going to be working together at a table. It appears that Mary and John wishes to sit at the other table. I'm really not sure at this point, since most of the time when my experience is in town, when people work on something, whether it's the Charter Review Committee or the Finance Committee or even the Board of Selectmen, when they are working on a project together trying to review things, that they sit facing each other. So that was the suggestion here. I'm not exactly sure what the best way is to go forward. This is a meeting for the 5 members to discuss the minutes. I do understand that there's interest in the staff to be here, but the intention of this is really for the 5 individuals who are involved in adopting minutes to be able to go through the minutes that we have on hand. And also, I just wanted to note that citizens' participation was put at the end, last part of this agenda. I want to say for the last 3 minutes, there has been very active citizens' participation. Everyone's been very welcome to participate, and there will be happening next week also. The thing is, with citizens' participation, we've really reached a critical point with these minutes because they are honestly 6 months now in arrears. And it is in the greater interest of our community to work together in good faith to really get these things done. So that's the reasons why this communal setup and for us to work together. I do hope that Mary and John would consider sitting here and joining us with this effort. That the other thing is that as we go through the minutes, it's really going to be considerations of amendments, additions, and subtractions to the drafts that are in front of us. And that's basically what we'll be doing. Hopefully we can get through this very quickly, but not so sure. So, you know.
Point of order, Chair. Point of order, please.
Yes, John.
Well, one, you mentioned that Mark was taping the meeting, as am I, so I thought that you would want that as a disclosure.
Okay, thank you, John.
And you also mentioned that your experience as on the Board of Selectmen and the Finance Committee. I'm not sure that you ever held those positions.
Thank you, John. So,
Madam Chair, point of information, I just want to let you know as the staff, I'll speak for both of us, we were involved with the minutes. The staff created the minutes that were on previous agendas, reviewed by me, and I know I've explained this more than once, but for Ron's note too, because he wasn't here. So the staff was involved with the minutes, and we are here at this meeting to answer any questions that any of the board members may have.
And if I could finish my point of order, please.
sure.
The way I interpret what is happening right now, you are aware that you are not allowed to have direct contact with staff.
This is out of order.
Excuse me, I believe I was speaking.
This is out of order, John.
I'm a board member
no,
and I'm allowed
John,
to
we
speak.
are here to discuss minutes. I would entertain a motion at this point.
Madam Chair.
Excuse me, I was
I would
speaking.
entertain a motion.
Excuse me, pardon me, I was speaking. Can I please
John,
finish
you
my
are
thought?
once again going negative. We are trying.
I'm not going negative.
to
I'm
have
giving
a
you my
discussion
opinion. You
about
might not agree
minutes.
with it, but I am giving you my opinion.
John, can I take a minute for the
You
time being?
yeah, please do.
Please.
But I do intend to finish my thought.
I think we agreed upon burying the hatchet.
When did we
Please.
agree upon that?
That's what we did last meeting, that somebody's selectman asked us, and then we did say,
okay.
openly
We're
say
gonna do
that.
now. Okay.
Please bury the hatchet, let's move forward, let's do
I'm not
things
gonna. I don't
that-
have a hatchet to bury. But what I don't
Sorry.
like is I don't like the fact that you're
Don't-
disrespecting staff tonight. It's blatant.
It's not.
It's blatant what you're doing. Anybody
I'm
can
not-
see
Wait
that.
a minute. I am
Anybody
running
can
this
see that.
meeting. John, please stop
I understand
raising
that
your
you're
voice.
running the meeting, but I'm a
John,
board member.
please
I'm
stop
entitled to
running
my
your-
opinion.
John, please stop raising your voice.
I'm not
We
raising
are
my
here
voice.
to discuss the
You have your
minutes.
back turned to me.
I
I'm
would-
talking so you can hear
You may
me.
join us at the table.
You may join us at the
You
table.
may join us with the
We
entire
are here
staff.
to collaborate. The staff is not
Your
part
blatant
of adopting the
disrespect for the
minutes.
staff is very
I
obvious.
would entertain a motion
Point of
to-
order, may I make a motion to have this table as the table for Board of Health
Excuse
meeting
me,
at
I'm
present,
going
please?
home.
I move that we convene at this table and then continue our meeting, please.
I second that motion. Is there any
Excuse me, I'm leaving.
More discussion?
And I'm leaving for the reason that, for beginners, you're holding an illegal meeting prior to the start of the meeting, which I believe is an open meeting law error, which I'll be dealing with. Good night, all.
Discussion?
Can I just ask one more question? It's
Is-
not an
is there any
argumentative question.
concern that this meeting
Can
has
I ask
not
one more
started?
question about this meeting? If
So the
staff
meeting has
doesn't
been
need to
called
be
order.
here, if staff doesn't need to be here, is that what you're saying, that they are not needed at this meeting
I am
tonight?
saying that the discussion of the minutes is between 5 members of the board.
So you're saying that staff is not needed here
Staff that
tonight?
works for anyway, I'm really not going into that debate. We are here to talk about minutes, to do the best thing for the individuals.
then why don't you
in this
guys
town.
leave?
So
because you're
my
not-
motion
you're not
is
gonna be
standing
needed.
here and the discussion is called
Yes,
for.
so we do need, there has been a motion and a second for the board members to sit around a collaborative table, this table to consider minutes. And, there's been a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion concerning that?
None from my side.
You guys
Any
just
more
caused a
discussion?
lawsuit against the town of Ashland. I hope you understand that that young lady's gonna file a complaint with the union over what you just did, and you're gonna put this town in jeopardy over your shenanigans tonight. Thank you.
John, would you please come and join us at this
I will not,
table?
I support staff, and I'm going to sit with staff.
We support them too.
No,
That
not-
has
not by
nothing-
this.
we
No,
wanted
you
to
don't.
It has nothing to do
It
with,
does.
with disrespecting staff.
Oh, but you
They're
did.
here, they can,
I think we did announce that
staff
Mr.
can
Mark
stay?
is recording the,
he's recording it. We're not disrespecting him. We wanted to try to work as a group, together in a small group, to try to foster some goodwill and see if we can make
Well, you
things
guys
work.
started off on a bad foot.
Well, okay. We were
You
here-
guys
we
quite
invited
obviously
you
had
to
an
join
illegal
us.
meeting about this too, because the only people that weren't aware of it were Mary and myself. Marion and myself were not aware that you guys quite obviously had this all planned, so, I don't know, is that an open meeting law violation or just another unethical act of you guys?
John, please note that you have not attended the last 3 meetings.
Please note that that is not factual.
Well, I'm not sure how many.
Okay,
meetings
well then,
it was.
I would think that the chair of
So
the
there is a
elected board
motion,
would try
there
to
is
be
a
factual.
motion and a second. Since there is no more discussion, I'll the motion is that the meeting occur around this table with the 5 members of the board.
Well,
The
one of
meeting
them
has
left.
been called to order, and we are attempting to review back minutes from December 6th of 2016, 13 minutes, 13 different meeting minutes. This is actually a critical need, and there is a need for us to work collaboratively on these minutes, not sit in a row, not perform for the camera, but to work together. So this is my idea of having this at the table. WACA has been informed. I've been here for the last half hour for him to allow us to set it up. And it does not seem particularly welcoming that we cannot 5 sit around a table to discuss a critical need for this town to have the community, for one thing, be informed by having accepted minutes.
Who blocked
So-
these minutes being
So,
accepted for the last 6
I'm going
months?
to take
Other than Judy Margulies?
that was the motion, that we sit here around this table, and I'm going to take a vote. All in favor?
aye.
Aye. There's 3, and all
Aye.
against?
I'm opposed, and Mary walked out in protest. No, Mary said that she walked out in protest. That needs to be noted in the minutes. And also needs to be noted that Laura walked out. She left the meeting because you told her she wasn't needed.
So, so we are working on the minutes. Do we have,
I have a motion to adopt minutes of June 10th, June 12th, and June 14th as presented along with the agenda.
And I want to notice that those are noted as draft 6.17.1. There are 3 minutes. Do we have a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Just wanted to make sure, John, that you had them.
I do, thank you.
I do have
I do have a couple
small
questions.
correction though, on June,
So we have a motion and a second.
Second, yeah.
Seconded that,
Yes.
correct? So now we're going to have discussion?
yes, I thought I'll give a correction to that thing. I think it's the adjournment on the June 10th. It's a AM, it needs to be PM, probably it's a typography. That's the on page, page 5.
Which month, please? I mean, which?
It's the motion to adjourn on page 5 of the June 10th meeting.
Thank you.
On page 5, it says AM, it should be PM.
Oh, I get it. You didn't stay all night. Are there any other amendments, additions, or subtractions to those 3 meeting minutes? Does anyone need
I
3
have-
minutes
I
to
have a-
review them?
I have quite a few questions, if we could.
Okay, I first asked the question. This is very difficult, John. I would hope that you would come
I
over
agree,
here.
it's extremely
and sit
difficult.
with
Thank you
us.
for identifying that.
I would really appreciate if you would come sit with us.
You've made that perfectly clear, but I've made my stance that you're disrespecting staff, and I'm gonna support staff. That is my,
So, John, do you have an amendment, an addition, or
I have a couple questions.
subtractions?
I have a couple questions, if I may, please.
Well, we're looking for, the minutes are very specific. The motion was to accept.
Yes, and I have specific questions.
Okay, so please.
Thank you. First, when did the board change the draft format of the meeting minutes? I sent you 4 emails asking you that question. You chose not to answer either of those 4 emails. We are a board, and we need to agree on everything. It seems like the chair has taken it upon herself to change the format. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm asking for clarification on that.
That is actually out of the scope of adopting these minutes. The motion on the table is to
Okay,
adopt the
then can I
minutes.
ask, if you don't want to answer the
If you-
question,
if you
you
believe
don't
that
want to
the
answer it written or
format does
verbally,
not-
I do have other questions. Thank you. I understand you don't want to answer the question, but I do have other questions about the minutes.
John, we can take note of your questions and answer them.
You can't
after-
approve them if I don't have my
After the
answer.
adoption of the minutes, after we consider the acceptance of the minutes. We are here to consider the acceptance of the minutes, not to consider side conversations.
They're not side conversations. If they were going to accept the minutes, I need to have a clear understanding of what's presented to me. Is that a fair statement?
Well, please give your additions, amendments, or subtractions to the minutes as presented.
Okay, I would like clarification on your title that you put on your, under Judith Margulies, R.PH. I understand that Ron is a doctor, and I understand that KG is professor. I don't understand what your notation here is.
Are you saying that that should be modified? Is
I
that-
don't know what it is. Please explain it to me.
It's an accepted,
Accepted what?
Once again, we're asking questions that have nothing to do with the minutes.
It's on the
That
minutes.
is- That is a license that I hold as a professional license.
Can I ask for clarity what it is? I'm asking, I understand what Mary's is, I understand what Ron's is.
RPH is a registered pharmacist.
Oh, I wasn't aware that you were a registered pharmacist, thank you. Where are you registered?
So we are talking about the minutes. Are there any other additions, subtractions, or amendments? Questions that are out of the scope of the minutes are not to take up our time.
I
We
think
have
it's
a
an important
job here to
question.
do. We have
I
a
think it's
job
an
here to
important
do,
question.
John.
When did the format get voted on to be
We
changed?
have a job here to do. Are you not offering any amendments,
I'm
subtractions, or
asking a
corrections?
valid question. When did the format be agreed by the board to be changed?
Hearing no other suggestions for
Okay.
additions, amendments, or subtractions to the 3 minutes, June 14th, June 12th, and June 10th. I would recommend now that we take this to a vote. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone against?
I'm opposed.
John is opposed.
Now, Madam Chair, why can't I get my answer answered you know, like, I wanna commend, I think the format's actually quite efficient, but why can't I get an answer of when the board decided to change the, format?
We can happily discuss your supplementary questions later.
So in other words, if we don't do it Judy's way tonight, we're not gonna do it anybody's
The intention
way.
of this meeting.
That's not a board, Judy.
The intention of this
That's
meeting
not how a
is
board
to
operates.
adopt minutes. They have been in arrears since December 6th.
Yeah.
And we are now in a critical state. We are doing this for the best interest.
Can you explain the critical state that you keep on mentioning?
Madam Chair, I'd like to move now, we accept the minutes of December 6th, December 9th, February 1st, February 21st, March 7th, March 21, April 4, April 18, May 2, December minutes being of 2016, the rest of them being of 2017, as presented with the agenda.
Say that again? Can you repeat that last part, because you trailed off?
Okay, let me rephrase it. The December 6, 2016 minutes,
Right.
December 9, 2016 minutes, February 1, 2017, February 21, 2017, March 7, 2017, March 21, 2017, April 4, 2017, April 18, 2017, May 2nd, 2017, version numbers dated DRT 6.17-1.
No, I have two different,
That's
I have two
presented.
different drafts of each one. Which one is your amendment on? Your motion on?
This is on
It's
the
the one
DRT
that, that
617.
you were passed. You were passed these.
All right, so then that leads
These
me
are
to my
what?
next question that you're not going to like, but, you know, when did the board decide that they were
There's a
going to
motion.
change the policy
Second.
of the draft
Is there
form?
a second to the motion? There was a motion made
To accept them?
to,
Yeah,
to
acceptance,
consider
second.
acceptance, adopting all of those.
I'll
But-
second the motion.
Madam Chair, if we do, we have two sets of minutes for each one of these. Which one are we accepting?
That's specifically to DRT 6
The one that,
17.
the one that the administrative assistant Laura Clifford generated, or the one that the chair
There's
generated?
one presented with the agenda to you
He
right
clearly
now.
stated draft 6.17.1.
When did we clearly state that?
They're labeled in his motion.
How do you know?
I stated it.
Oh,
DRT
okay, I didn't hear it. Okay.
6.17.1.
So the motion has been made, it has been seconded. Should we go through, let's go through each month, just to make sure that there are no amendments, additions, or subtractions.
I think
So I
that
would entertain December 6th first.
If I could just add a point of information, Madam Chair.
Mr. Oram, we do appreciate your input.
Okay.
Once again, it's very, very important that the 5 members consider these minutes in a very, very collaborative way with the 5 of us. Unfortunately, Mary has left, and we do appreciate, it would be great if you were sitting here, Mark, but if you chose to sit behind me, I can't help that.
Well, originally, there
So-
wasn't enough seats
so,
if 5 sat there.
So,
There's a
don't,
whole.
you're misrepresenting yourself again, Madam Chair.
So, Mark, I would appreciate if you could please leave your comments and your questions till after we do the acceptance of the meetings with the 5, with the members who are considering these.
The
So the
information was
health-
related,
So the health
If
agent's
there
been
is
told to
any
shut up.
need-
You know,
Pretty
just say-
much.
Yeah, so.
Madam Chair, the
Yeah.
information's related to December 6th,
Unbelievable.
2016. Now, that's not fair to me, is it? I would ask the other 2 board members to look at me just for a second and ask me, is that fair?
No.
I discussed that at the last meeting. Ron, you know I did. The concern I had is the Shell station, because there was concern that I hadn't updated the board. December 6th, on the minutes that Laura did, shows I updated the board, as well as all the other technical information that I believe should be in the minutes. But it was deleted.
This is
and
a
that
blatant
is a
attempt,
concern.
this is an
I would hope,
attempt,
Ron, at least you
this is a
consider
blatant
that.
attempt to say that Mark Oram is not
Thank you.
doing his job, just so the viewing audience understands that. Ms. Margulies has an agenda against Mark Oram, and her minutes are reflecting that. And that is my opinion.
Mr. Featherston's
It is my opinion as a board
comments are out
member.
of the scope of adopting minutes.
No, they're
He
not.
can
My
make-
piece.
They're
He
not.
can make his comments at some
I had my
future
piece.
time.
I will continue to make them. because your actions tonight speak
So
volumes.
are there any other, are there any amendments, additions, or subtractions to December 6th?
Well, I would like to discuss Mr. Orem's update about the Shell station.
I
that's-
am looking for it, if you have a specific addition you would
Madam
like to
Chair, Madam
make,
Chair,
please make it in
just
the
because
form
a
of a
board
motion.
member doesn't agree with you doesn't mean that we can't discuss them. Your meeting minutes are not factual. They're not accurate. I am questioning that. You don't like that, but it's a fair question because the health agent just brought it to your attention. If you don't want to discuss it, that is a choice of yours, but I do want to discuss it.
Please make it in the form of a motion. What words would you like to have amended?
I would like to add Mr. Orem's update on the Shell station renovation to the meeting minutes from December
And-
6th.
and
In the
what-
draft form that they were presented by Laura
And
Clifford.
What words would you like added to this draft?
I'll speak slowly. Development updates, Shell at 125
Wait a minute,
Union.
what page would we be adding this to?
I'm using the meeting minutes that Laura gave us.
No, I'm looking at December 6th.
Yeah, okay,
Those
so
are the
we-
minutes that
we-
are in front of us.
I'm happy with putting it on the,
So, those
I'm,
are the minutes
right
that are
after
in front.
Charlie Lagasse left the meeting, we can add that, if you want.
I don't believe it was in that order, so I'm
What?
looking for where they would be added.
All right, well, then, okay, we can add it on page 3, if you'd like. Where would you like it on page 3?
John, it needs to go in chronological order, isn't it?
Where would you like it on page 3?
I don't know,
Because
where
it would
was
be
it?
chronologically on
Where
page
was
If
3.
it?
you are making the motion, please make the motion as to what
I,
you would like
okay,
to
I
add
will
to
make the
those
motion
minutes,
that we
John.
put it on page 3, right after tobacco compliance checks, so, let's see. So, yeah, top of page 3.
So you want to add, so presently it reads.
No,
develop-
I would like to tell you what I'd add, I would not like you to assume that you know what I'm adding.
Oh, it says here.
Develop and
Shall
update.
125 agenda item development order, that says
Mr. Orem
there.
briefly updated the board.
I'm sorry?
It says here on page 3 in the top,
Shall.
Updated the board on what?
On
on previous
Shell
development.
at 125
Shell,
Union.
125, 81 Union, 112 West Union, Ashland Rail Center, the MBTA access road,
Described.
and Dr. Green Indoor
It
Golf,
should be like
and
this.
Erica's Restaurant, 17.
Okay, G, you bring up a very good point, then why did you send me multiple emails that I can produce saying that Mr. Orem never updated us on that?
Well,
So,
so
Mr.
I know.
maybe it's a thing that I didn't pay attention to.
So,
it.
Mr.
That's all.
So, John, what would you?
So in other words, we'll just cry
John,
fire
what
in the
would-
theater, and if it's not
John,
true,
what
don't worry
words-
about it.
What
Okay.
words would you like to add to that?
I would like,
that
thank you,
paragraph?
thank you. Mr. Orem said that the Shell station is planning to rebuild the building, which will include food facilities as they do in many of the newer gas stations. Thank you. But KG, I take great exception to the fact that
Mr. Orem
you
said
said
the
that.
food facility, excuse me, I'm trying to.
Food
write-
facilities.
Yep.
As they do in many of the newer gas stations.
And no one will ever know about what I said on the other ones unless it's.
Right, and that's a point of order that I want to also address too. I mean, there's detailed information on 81 West Union, 112 West Union, and the Ashland RTD on an MBTA access road, and Dr. Green's Indoor Golf, and Erica's Restaurant. All very important public health issues that should be added to the
So
minutes.
you want more verbiage on those items too. So may I comment on the first suggestion is that we add those words. First of all, Robert's Rules of Order, if we could just start there, says that what is said at a meeting is not what should be included in the minutes.
Can you show that to me? Can you
what
show that to me
is-
in Robert's Rule of Order? Can you
Well,
show that to me?
I do have a draft, but,
Please. Please.
let's see. Okay. This is in an abridged,
So it's not Robert's Rules of Order?
well, it is part of the Roberts Rules.
And what site are you sourcing?
So, I actually don't have that, so.
Well, then it's not applicable for
Here, wait a minute,
conversation.
I do have something.
Because Robert's Rules of Order has many amendments
Well,
to
I
it,
can
but
add-
it's not
look,
Robert's
I
Rules
can
of Order.
s-
If you're gonna quote Robert's Rule of Order,
Robert's
I would
Rules
ask that
of
you quote
Order
it
newly
properly.
revised in brief by Henry M. Robert III, William J. Evans, Daniel Honeman, Thomas Balk, and it's the 2004 copyright. So it's Robert's Rules of Order newly revised in brief.
Okay,
So it's the brief. Frequently, secretaries, this would be page 146. Frequently, secretaries make unneeded work for themselves by putting far more into the minutes than is required or appropriate. Then it goes on to say, in fact, in standard form, the minutes should generally include only what was done, not was said.
Okay.
Also,
I would agree, so you're
that's-
agreeing with me,
So
thank you.
that's number one, so that what was done, not was said by individuals. So what the board actually did during the meeting, in other words, made motions, made actions, that type of thing. But also, secondly, this format, without the expanded words, go along with what our town council had recently sent us, and that they also go along
Do you have that
with-
letter?
with what,
Town council sent us a letter about minutes?
with what the open meeting law, the Division of Open Government states concerning the content of minutes being a
Do you have that
summary and
email
is
so you
not-
can share with the board?
and is not intended to be an
No, she doesn't.
expansive
She
discussion.
doesn't, because it doesn't exist.
So, we have, I guess, was that in the form of a motion, Mr. John? Mr. Orem said that the food facilities.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, but my name is not Mr. John.
I'm sorry, John. John, it's a little difficult because you're not, who moved the chair?
Yeah, because you're being unprofessional, I would agree. It is very difficult, thank you for identifying it.
So if you would like to come over here, that'd be great.
I would not, no, I do not feel comfortable being over there. I'm here
Okay,
tonight to support
sorry.
staff, as I've told you many times.
So, you wanted to add the words, Mr. Orem said the food facilities as they, I'm not having
You
trouble
have,
reading
you
my
have,
writing.
Madam Chair, you have the minutes right in front of you.
I do not, I do have the minutes that we are considering right in front of me. And, those words are not, so, Mr.
As they do in many of the newer gas stations. Right from
as
the
they
original
do,
meeting
okay.
minutes that
So
you and
Mr.
KG
Orem
Block
said the
have been
food
approved.
facilities as they do in newer gas stations. That, so, I heard no second,
Okay,
I'll second it. You
okay?
Add that. Why not?
Yeah.
It's not changing the meeting.
well, but it does, it changes, Ron, you might wanna reconsider, cause I challenge that, because I appreciate it, but it does change the scope,
Well, I mean,
it changes,
no,
it changes it dramatically.
No, I agree.
Traumatic-
It's
tra-
more,
tra-
it's more informative.
When
and
I have a
there's
board
nothing
member
wrong with that.
sending me emails questioning the fact that the health agent never updated the board, and then it's not reflected in the new revised minutes, it does impact a tremendous amount.
Alright.
Okay.
Tremendous.
Well, we're way off the, we're way
We're
off
not
the
way off.
topic
We're not-
for
Yeah.
what
not way off.
information we got for the gas station. The gas station is a separate topic, what kind of information? Obviously, there was one sentence that was in the minutes prior draft that we do not have in front of us. And, the idea behind this is to be concise, objective, not put ourselves in a position that it's going to take us months and months and months to reread minutes, and also not to have select language taken out of what is discussed during a minute,
Yeah,
during the
because Judy
meeting.
doesn't like it when she acts out in
Yes.
public and it's
Yeah.
documented, she doesn't like
In
that.
In the interest of time, there has been a primary amendment to whatever that needs to be done, and then there's a second to it. Can we move on with voting on it or discussion on it, and then
Okay, the only reason I want a discussion on this is because the concern is that we are not going to be able to get through these if every single thing is added like that. I don't have a problem with those words. I don't have a problem at all
Let-
with those words.
let me make a clarification that this can be revisited anytime, can be amended anytime by the board members, isn't that right?
What, to add more things
no,
or to
any
take things
minute.
out or?
Any minute that's been approved today can be revisited and then can be amended and then done.
Yes,
Sure.
absolutely.
So
So-
there's no, not sealed today as it is, it can be changed, maybe there may be an error in the numbers or something that we can come back and correct it, there may be an error in a statement, we can come back and correct it, that's not an issue, is that?
No, it's not
Okay.
an issue. Obviously, we can.
Sure. Then shouldn't be a problem for us to restrict.
Well, guys, I'll make this
these
real
things.
easy for you.
Sure.
I'll retract what I said, but I am gonna say one more time. Your blatant attempt here to change the facts of the meeting are here to damage this man. It's very obvious. and it's pathetic. That being said, I withdraw my motion. I will motion to approve the minutes as
You can't withdraw the motion anymore.
Yeah, I
Because
can.
it's already
There
been
has to
presented.
be a vote.
I
There has to be a
withdrawn it.
vote.
Well,
There
then
we-
vote on it.
Excuse me, we will take
You
a
running
vote.
the meeting,
I
or is
would-
the chair running the meeting?
I-
Doesn't matter who runs it, but I can always quote back. I'm a secretary, I can
You're the
follow the Robert's
secretary?
rule. Yes.
I didn't know we had a secretary.
I would like
on
to
the board.
read what was here prior to
Now we're
adding
creating
that
Clerk-
positions
one.
and
Clerk
everything.
of the meeting.
Now we're,
I
now
would
we're,
like
now
to
we're creating
read,
positions.
I would like to read what is here prior to adding that, or proposing adding that statement.
Madam Chair, I've made my statement, and I
I'm
don't
still
care to
speaking,
go
please
on.
allow me to finish.
Okay.
So on that area, it says, agenda item, and then it says development updates from previous development to department reviews. Shell at 125 Union, 81 West Union, 112 West Union, Ashland RTD on MBTA Access Road, Dr. Green's Indoor Golf, 200 Homer Ave, Erica's Restaurant, 78 Front Street.
Mhm.
Then it says discussion. Mr. Oram briefly updated the board. Future action. A board member requested that a future agenda include updates on 60 Pleasant Street. Now, what has been suggested is that that is inadequate to cover the idea of what Mr. Oram had presented to us, and that we should expand on it to include this additional statement. So that is what we're going to be voting on. And I would say, ask for all in favor.
Aye.
Are you in favor, John?
I have no idea what you just said. to be
But she
totally
said that
honest with
accept your amended sentence, that's what the thing that we are voting on.
you. Okay,
Do you
sure.
want to accept it or you don't want to accept it?
Sure, we can accept it, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for the clarification.
All against. I'm voting against, and I would like just to state for the record, it prevents us from continuing a concise, it's expanding on one area without expanding on everything. These minutes were designed to be a concise method of
But once
creating
again,
minutes.
Madam Chair, when did the
So
board
I am
decide
voting
to change
against.
the policy?
I just wanted to
When did the board
express-
decide to change the policy?
I wanted to express why I'm voting against, and there are no abstentions. So, are there any other additions, amendments, or subtractions to the minutes as proposed?
I do have one more. And I will continue to ask it until I get an answer. When did the board decide that we were going to change the formats? We are a board. If we agree 3-2, meaning 2 members don't agree and 3 members do agree, we adopt those policies. I am not familiar with, and I'm getting older and I forget things, but I am not familiar with the fact that this board decided as a board to change the way we conduct business. I think it's I think it's an honorable question. I've asked it 4 times in email, and I've asked it 4 times tonight. I do want an answer to
John,
the question.
I have written down the question. I must insist that we go through the minutes and come back to questions at the
But
end.
you're asking
The
me to vote
format-
on minutes
Yeah.
that I don't have an
John,
understanding
No
of.
point in grinning here, you
Yeah.
know, that's not good here, okay?
It's not
I
good
don't
here.
think.
Thank you for identifying
Because
that.
she
I
doesn't see
appreciate
her
that.
back, you shouldn't grin like that. If you have a statement, make a statement. I'm sorry, I don't get enraged this much, but today I am. I am, because
KG.
the way you behave is
KG.
very bad here. I'm
Yeah.
sorry for
Oh,
it. You
oh.
can watch it on the
You-
TV,
You
okay?
can try to bully
I'm
me all
sorry
you
for
want,
it.
KG.
No,
But
no.
the fact that you
That-
disrespected your board tonight, your 5-member board and your staff, I'm mad at you. So, please.
Please,
It's a 2-way street, okay?
I understand, but
And I am grossly disappointed in your behavior this evening.
grinning is not an issue,
Grossly.
thing to be done here. Madam
So
Chair,
are
that you
there
have-
any other additions, subtractions, or amendments to the December 6th meeting?
If you're not gonna answer my question, then no.
Hearing none, let's go on to December 9th.
Oh, do we need to vote on this, or do you want to?
Well, we actually made one motion for all of them, so we're
Okay.
gonna go through each one.
Okay, all
Make
right.
any modifications. So there's been one modification to the December 6th that
Okay.
didn't pass to add those words.
All right, thank you.
So now we're going on to December 9th. Any additions, subtractions, or modifications to the drafted minutes of December 9th that are labeled draft DRT 6.17.1?
I do have a couple questions. You weren't a registered pharmacist on December 9th? And KG wasn't a professor on December 9th?
Are you making a motion to add something to the
I am.
minutes?
I am. Because
But
we added
please
it to
make
the
the
other
mo-
minutes, so I
please
just wanna
make it
make
in a-
sure that we're being consistent.
Please make it in the form of a motion.
I think I just did. Just a general question, it wasn't a, we're here, we're discussing things, so I was just
Well,
wondering.
let's make a motion and then discuss
It's not a
the
motion, it's a question.
Okay, well, I'll write that down on the list of questions
Okay.
we can come back to.
So I'll take that as you weren't a registered pharmacist on December 9th. Okay.
Hearing no suggestions for additions, subtractions, or modifications to December 9th's meeting minutes as drafted, I will go on to February 21st.
February 1st, isn't it?
Was February 21st the next
No,
one?
1st.
Oh, February 1st, I apologize, so should I, yes,
Please.
February 1st. Let's not jump out of order, sorry.
Can I, Ada, ask a question? John, can you listen and be involved in this?
I've listened to every word, trust me,
Okay,
and I'm
so,
recording it.
All right, so since I feel very uncomfortable with all of this, it's not a comfortable meeting.
Good.
It's not really a fun place to be at. I was hoping that
But you were part of it.
whatever we can do, we'd be able to do it together.
Yep.
I wasn't at any of these meetings.
Correct.
If you and Mary and, obviously Mark feel that these minutes are not a concise approximation of the previous minutes, I'm certainly not gonna feel comfortable on voting on any of them. I know from staff, from town council, I'm allowed to vote. I can't necessarily make any changes. I tried to, look at some of these and compare them to other things. I don't think the meeting minutes, as far as the overall structure of the content, was specifically changed in a negative way. That's looking as an outsider and somebody very new to this. If you feel it has, then we need to reconsider how we're doing this and come together as a board, because it doesn't work unless we're all together.
I agree.
And so if I'm gonna abstain from voting for all of these, and you're gonna vote negatively, and we don't have a majority, then we're all wasting our time tonight.
And thank you
I mean,
thank you for that, and that's very nice of you.
Let's talk
It's very nice of you.
about it and make sure that there's no reason we all can't do this together.
Absolutely.
Not any.
And
we can disagree.
I have asked a couple questions. I have not disagreed with content other than one piece of content. So I sincerely appreciate it, because I know that probably wasn't easy, and I appreciate that. And Madam Chair, if I may, my only concern about the meetings, and as I complimented you on the format and the efficiency of these earlier tonight, I'm going to ask my question once again. When did this board decide that we were going to change the format and the process of doing our meeting minutes? We've eliminated staff from doing it, and we've changed the way that we do that. The board did not make that decision. It seems, and please correct me if I'm wrong, you made that decision, which could be fine, but I think we need to discuss it, because to Ron's point, Ron wasn't here, and now we're changing minutes that Ron wasn't even here on. I'm not criticizing, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it is a reasonable request, and more importantly, a reasonable question from one of your board members. When did we change this format?
Please show me where there was an adopted format by the board to begin with.
I think I have probably myself a history of, I don't know, I could
Well,
call the
you
town
know-
clerk tomorrow and get, I don't know, 100 years worth of meeting minutes?
Right.
May
Which
I?
we don't want to do.
KG,
It's just a
KG,
simple
I really-
question.
May I? For the record.
I'm sorry, Mr. KG. The question was to the chair, it wasn't to
I
you.
understand.
I'm asking KG to.
I'm
not
sorry,
answering
my
his
question was
or
to
I'm
the
not
chair.
answering your
Yes.
question.
My question was to
But
the chair.
I'm putting my experience down on the table.
Thank you.
I've gone through reviewing the last 6 years of the minutes that exist on the web. And if you recall that last year that I did, this year beginning, I guess, I presented some statement to the Board of Selectmen, and that's when I had prepared all these reports using that minutes. And then I have not seen one single statement where the format of the minutes were adopted in any of the minutes. And it did change in transition from one to the other form. It did. And
Is
it-
that your
it used
opinion,
to
or
be-
is that a fact?
It is a fact.
Is it
It used to
opinion
be
or a
one,
fact?
it used to be one line, it is a fact. It used to
How
be
do you
one
back
line.
that fact up?
He's read the minutes.
I have, you just pull up the web, I can show you whatever the minutes, go to 2009 and 2008, you see, 2010, you go 2011, 2012, it has transitioned itself to this large document. And there was
I
no
actually have that
record
same
of minutes.
experience.
There are
We're
no
going,
records.
we've expanded.
So you're
because
acknowledging
I've
the
read
fact
old
that
ones
you've
too.
changed it. Thank you. That's all I'm asking. We've
Well,
acknowledged, you
no.
just answered my question that you've refused to answer nine
A
times prior.
change means-
That you changed it. Thank you.
No, John, that is not what I said.
That's what KG just confirmed.
But I
So
said that
if
it's
you're
changed.
So
satisfied.
you
So
agreed that the two
there
of
is
you
no-
have
There
decided
is
to
no
change the
record
policy.
of adopting a particular model or the format of the minutes in the sets of minutes that I've
And
seen so
you've
far.
excluded staff from doing
John,
it. Is
John,
that correct?
you
No.
have.
What do you mean, no?
What, it was stated last,
Did staff do these?
the last
I don't
meeting that we
believe
said
this
that
is
we
going
will
with-
have the template.
Did staff do these?
Last
What
meeting,
do
we
you
did
need
say,
to
talk about it, and then we did say there was a template.
Did
and
staff produce these?
Which one?
What do you need to hear
What do
to
you mean,
make
which
you
ones?
feel comfortable?
What, did you
Because
have to
obviously, this,
What would make me
this,
feel comfortable is if we could all get together and agree on something, even if it's not this format. If you want to make a combination of things and go through everything line by line, if that's what we need to do, then that's what we need to do. I don't know how to make it better. I don't know how to make people get along. It's adopting minutes. It's not important, but it's not taking care of the business of public health. So far, we've been here for 45 minutes.
Exactly.
We've adopted 3 sets of minutes only because we 3 were in attendance, and we both agree that that's what we spoke about. And it seemed fair to me, but if.
As I
if
said
you
earlier,
feel
as I
though
said
this-
earlier, and I'll
Let's get
reiterate.
together and
I'll
combine things.
reiterate what I asked. If my question was answered and KG answered it, said that the chair changed it and eliminated staff from doing it,
But
then I'm
don't-
fine to approve the minutes as presented.
John, don't put words in my mouth.
Well, that's
Don't
what you
put
said.
words-
All that I said was, there is no statement or approvals in any of the minutes for adopting a particular set of minute format. There was none. That's what I said.
Yeah, I can, if
So the
historically. I
formats,
can-
formats have changed.
Excuse me, I'm a board member and I'd like to hear what our health
Just
agent has to
historically,
say.
I'm not getting in the middle of this debate. I'm gonna give you a historical review of what I know, and hopefully for compromise. More than 9 years ago, we were taking minutes, and sometimes we were advised by our town attorneys to try to briefen them up a little bit. And so we made that attempt, and that's probably what you're seeing in 2009, KG, and for a while. And then what was happening is, and I mentioned this at the last minute, we were losing the summary that would give someone that couldn't attend the meeting at least an essence of what was done. And I agree, what was done. And sometimes it's even my reports, what did I say? I know I'm not a board member, and I respect that. I respect my board members. But I think if a compromise could be made to maybe shorten what I said in my report to maybe a couple sentences, I don't see a problem with that. But it's helpful when, I'll be honest, it's helpful to have at least a summary. Because when I need to go back and research, I had to do that today for a project for the town manager. It's nice to have at least a summary so I can remember. Because if you ask me to remember 9 years ago, it's not easy. So that's all I'm offering. I'm not getting in the middle of this debate. I'm just offering a historical overview.
I think it's a great point.
so, it appears that, Ron, you need comfort level, so,
You're
John-
right, and it's not gonna happen tonight.
John-
Unless we can come to some kind of compromise, John.
Come to a
what-
compromise.
No, so what's the solution? So what is it? I'm just asking, and if you don't know now, that's fine,
Madam Chair, can I be very frank and candid with the board member?
please.
Okay, this
Not
tonight,
inappropriate.
you guys decided that you guys were gonna do this. You didn't let Mary Mortensen, another board member, and myself know that you were doing this. This is the third time that I can prove that you guys did something behind the entire board's back.
We had 3 meetings.
Don't answer, let me,
Okay.
Okay, show me where that is in the
let-
meeting
let me
minutes,
answer the
that you
thing
guys
about-
were gonna do a
Let me
roundtable.
answer the thing about the
Excuse me,
question.
I thought I was talking, you said I could talk.
You are, but when
Excuse me.
John is done, I would like to answer.
Okay, so, second, the agenda does not mention a workshop, okay? The Board of Health meeting involves the health agent and the administrative assistant. Tonight, upon entry into the room, they told they were not welcome at the table because of the room, okay? That is, so here is my perception is reality. A couple weeks ago, you guys all got together and were trying to post a meeting. The now chair, who wasn't the chair at the time, then sent 2 other board members an email the following morning after town hall wouldn't let her post a meeting. So, number one, board members are working behind other board members' back. My perception, my opinion and perception, okay? Call meetings on a Saturday morning when you know board members aren't available on short notice for non-emergency situations. My perception, once again, doing things not as a board operates. Tonight I walk in, have no idea that we're doing a workshop and not including staff, okay? We had an administrative assistant leave here tonight very upset because she does not feel like she's a valued member of the staff. Her compensation is being affected by these shenanigans, and I'm pissed off about it. Excuse my language.
Okay, well,
John, you
that
have a
wasn't
whole
the- that
laundry
wasn't the
list of
intent.
things.
Well, you keep acting up. The list
Excuse me.
gets longer and longer.
You have a whole laundry list of things that have nothing to do with the minutes. Yet, you continue to make false accusations that
Judy, my opinions
I
are
am
not false
speaking now,
accusations.
John. I allowed you
Yes, you
to
did.
give me the time. Okay, so your question concerning the formatting of the minutes. It came to my attention from Lisa Mead, the town council, and Kate Federoff, the town council, that we are in a critical state here because of an existing open meeting law complaint. And this is not the first time that the board has not adopted its meetings in minutes in a timely fashion. And it came to my attention, so I requested that she.
Did you share that with the board?
So that she would expand on that and share it completely with the board. And there was a memo that went out to everyone on this topic. And
It's funny, I
that
talk to council
telephone-
all the time, and this
well,
has never
you know
come
what?
up from
I am
council.
also speaking right now, and please note that I am
But
speaking,
you're not
John.
speaking
John,
factually.
I am speaking now, and when you speak all this spewing of this nonsense from your mouth, I allow you to do it. So please, these are the facts. So when that came to my
They're not.
attention, and
They're
we
not.
are a board which cannot meet other than together to discuss like minutes. So the immediate necessity of having meetings like the last one to discuss minutes becomes critical because we are in a situation where this board can cause financial damage to the town by not going forward with adopting minutes. Now, in
Not even
that perspective, the desire to get to a format of minutes where we could efficiently go through them and not have 8 pages of single page, he said, she said, he said, she said, some language included, some language excluded, and honestly, misinformation. Because we had that format before, those appeared to be part of the problem with us going forward. So I attempted to do what leadership does, which is to help create a method in order for us to go forward, because we as a board, including you, John, including you, Ron, and including you, KG, and including me, if we do not adopt these minutes tonight, this is the singular focus of this meeting, is to get to a point where we can accept minutes to protect the town's interests. This isn't about whether there's one sentence in here to protect Mr. Orm's interest to show that he actually did expand on a topic. This is about protecting the town and doing the right things for the citizens, and that's why we are here. That's why the 3 of us spent almost an hour and a half the other night trying to do the same thing. That's why Ron has reached out to the attorney for clarification. That is why we are here. And all of this nonsense of accusations is completely ridiculous, including how did you guys get together to, oh my gosh, change the format to make it concise. So literally, the reasons this is concise and objective, it's considerably, it goes in line with Robert's rules, it meets the requirements for the open meeting law, it will keep us on a path where we, from month to month, can go forward with minutes. If there is some problem with the format going forward, by all means, discuss it. And all of these showmanship about insulting the staff.
Well, you have.
Board members accept minutes. I think anyone who serves in this town knows that the staff does not vote on the board members. They don't ask, they don't.
I don't believe anybody has said that,
they
Madam
don't-
Chair. Once
they
again,
don't
you're making a false
participate in that.
allegation in public.
The idea
Some people
was
call
is to
that
have
lying.
the 5 of us around this table, in order for the 5 of us, there were 5 chairs here, someone took 2 away. There were 5 chairs here.
There were not 5
The idea is
chairs,
for
no.
us to talk in a collaborative fashion, and 2 members chose to be showmen at the table.
No, two members
So,
chose to support staff.
I am annoyed and upset.
Point of
with this.
order, I had no room to sit there.
I had no
I
room to sit
disregard,
there, so
please, that is a
this is
point of
just
order.
great.
I had no room to sit at that
Madam Chair,
table.
if you continue to tell
That's a
lies in
lie.
public, I would make a motion that we remove you
That's
as
a
the chair
lie.
of the Board of Health because your
5
unethical
members,
behavior.
5 members of the board
I
were
had no room.
intended to sit around this table.
Your unethical behavior tonight is troubling.
There were 5 chairs for the
Jeez.
5 board members. Any assumption that there were not the intention to have 5 board members here is totally incorrect.
Nobody said
5
that.
board members to look at the minutes.
Nobody said
Now,
that.
we have a job to do. I want to get back to these minutes.
Okay.
Please remind me where we are.
The February 1st minutes, that's the one that you did. This was the meeting that we had a new member brought in front of the Board of Selectmen, right? We're done.
Yes,
Yeah.
Ron was actually there at this one.
He was a candidate.
Ron, I apologize to you. I don't really know what to say. I know you're trying to work to get the board together.
No.
And I know that you're in your heart. That's in my heart. Yet, there's a stumbling block here, and I still believe that, and I'm speaking to you, that this is important that we adopt minutes. And I understand.
No, I agree completely. We should do that, but if we can't get together with previous minutes, I don't wanna do it contentiously. I don't wanna just have the 3 of us vote and agree that the minutes are fine when 2 members potentially don't do that. If we all were sitting around together and discussing it, and it was a 3-2 vote, that's a different thing, but we're not doing that. It's not a full meeting, which is exactly what it should be.
Mm-hmm. Should be. I agree. Thank you.
Right. That's what it should be, so.
Thank you. I agree.
I don't know how to get past this. I don't know if you have any suggestions, John? I know.
I do. I just have one simple question. And like I said, I'm fine to approve all the meeting minutes tonight as drafted because I unfortunately spent most of my Father's Day going through what I assume to be the chair's revisions of it. I'm fine with it. But my one question, and I think it does go to Ron's question that he is trying to build consensusship. My one question is to the other 2 board members. What were the theatrics that we did in February, March, April, May, June? If these are so critical now that the town is in jeopardy, shame on the both of you for blocking these being approved in February, March, April, May, June. You have put the town in this jeopardy.
John.
You can do your revisionist history all you want for the TV cameras. You 2 blocked these being done. So if the town's in jeopardy, those are your 2 culprits right there, folks.
I believe we actually have your statement at one of these minutes, several of these minutes have your
So if the town
statements
is in
in there
jeopardy, KG
concerning
and Judy are
as
to blame.
chair. I believe there are statements in here as chair, John,
Yeah?
that you actually did not want us to review the minutes.
No, I did not say that. If you review the video and the
Okay,
audio
so
tapes,
April
the
18th.
Secretary of State said that to do productive meetings, as long as we produce draft minutes for the public to have access to, we should not let the meetings be delayed. That is from Secretary Galvin. If you'd like to call him, I can give you his phone number.
So the sentence here was from exactly the draft that had been
Well, that's
made
your draft.
previously.
I'm not going to
No,
agree
no,
with your draft.
No, it was in a previous draft, okay?
Okay, what date is
A
that?
previous draft that came from Mark Orm's office, and it said, Chair Featherston stated after speaking with the Secretary of State's office and the town clerk. He will not be discussing meeting minutes tonight.
That's correct.
Noting that as long as draft minutes are provided to the town clerk, this is sufficient.
That is
So for
correct.
you to say I delayed minutes on April 18th is incorrect.
Well, if we rewind the tape a little bit farther back
Well, you
to,
know, you
to
can
your
rerun lots of
selected reading there, the reason why the meeting was delayed, and I don't think you really want to have this conversation, but it was because of your actions.
John, we're not, we
I
are,
know, because we're
Can I-
rewriting the minutes to remove all of your
May I make a point here?
unprofessionalism
Yes,
out of the
hey,
minutes.
Jim.
That's what we're doing here tonight, so I understand that,
John,
and I'm
I-
fine with that.
John.
Because Ron wants to have a clean slate, and I support Ron's agenda to have a
yes,
clean slate.
and what you
I-
wanna do, Ron,
I am
is-
going to forgive, but
And
trust
what
me,
you wanna
I'm not
do-
going to forget.
Correct, that is
Okay.
exactly what is going on here.
All right.
John has some sort of desire to personally attack me, and there is nothing in his
Judy,
book
I don't
that
have to
I
attack
could
you.
ever
Your
do.
behavior is
correctly.
becoming of the.
No, the behavior that you promote for the camera, your falsehoods,
Judy.
which are absolutely inappropriate at these meetings,
Oh,
John.
Bob Murchison.
Stop the attacks.
Bob Murchison.
Stop the attacks, and look, you can continue your falsehoods, such as Mr. Orem's investigation that Bob Murchison was involved in
Yeah.
had nothing to do with me.
Really?
Nothing.
You
And
sure about that?
and
You wanna say that in public?
See, this is
You wanna say that in public?
exactly, this is exactly the grandstanding that damages
Not
us, John.
grandstanding. It was in the Metro West Daily News, Judy.
Yes, because you fed them something.
Judy, if you knew anything,
It was in the
I
Metro
do not
West
have a
Daily
good
News.
relationship with the Metro West Daily News, so.
Yes, I'm sorry, KG, I want to get to these
John, so
minutes.
let-
We're getting back
let's
to
just
the
get back to the
minutes.
minutes.
I made a motion to approve as submitted. I'm sorry, the
All,
chair
you
entire
didn't
wanna
want
do
package?
all of the minutes?
Absolutely,
Okay. The motion is already, KG made a motion
yeah.
to accept them. Ron had seconded. Is there anyone who wants to modify anything that's in here? Or if there's anything small, should we come back at some other time?
We can always come back at some other time if you wanted to change anything that you,
So if
Find
there's no
something.
more discussion, we could bring it to a vote if you believe that it's going to pass, other than,
I
You
don't,
have four
I have no
members, you
more
need
discussion.
two to pass it. You already have the vote, so
we
what,
need three
what's
to
the game?
pass.
We need three.
We need three.
You don't need three. You have a quorum. We're approving minutes. You have your Robert's Rules of Order there, you might wanna look it up.
It's majority of the vote.
I'm sorry?
Majority.
Yeah.
One more than half is majority.
You might wanna look at,
You don't have to look
So,
at it.
let's not-
pull it
It's
out,
known.
read it.
So, is there a chance that if I bring it to a vote at this point, we're gonna get three votes?
Well, that itself is an ethics violation.
I
You're
know.
prejudging a vote before it happens. That is a blatant ethics violation. I'm sure if you read the Robert's Rules of Order, you would know that. You're about to direct the board to commit an ethics violation. You're prejudging a vote.
Let's take a vote. If
Does
it fails, it
anyone,
fails.
does anyone else want to add anything to the minutes or have any further discussion? So we have, the adoption of June 14th, nope, sorry,
No.
December 6th, December 9th, February 1st, February 21st, March 7th, March 21st, April 4th, April 18th, and May 2nd. There has been a motion and a seconded, all in favor?
All right.
Aye.
I'm abstaining.
John did, yeah, said yes.
So there's 3 in favor, 1 abstention. Thank you. Thank you, John.
Hey, KG, you voted yes too.
You said yes.
So there's only 7 minutes left, and that's June
6th.
June 6th. Do I have those copies? Sorry with the microphone.
What is the month? I'm sorry?
June 6th, John.
Thank you.
June 6th. Mike, could you advance those? I'll give you those to John, please. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Which one's that?
I did not receive a copy of these, but that's okay. You just give me a minute.
These draft minutes that we've been looking at should also be on the website now. I believe that they were placed there this morning on the town website as drafts, if anybody wants to look at what they contain.
If I may, Madam Chair, these seem much wordier than your other ones,
Make a motion.
as a point of reference. You wanted to be concise, yet these are giving opinions and interpretations, which I'm fine with, but it's not consistent with the policy that the chair decided to invoke on the board this evening. I would also like to suggest that
KG?
resident Marie Kane shared with the board members her concern about the administrative process of the Board of Health.
Are we
That's not,
discussing the minutes?
that's not
or,
factual.
Please.
Well, we're discussing them, right?
Can I make a motion to adopt this?
Well, shouldn't we
I-
fix them before we
I
adopt them?
move that the minutes to June sixth, 2017, as presented as a document DRT 6.17.1 be accepted as presented along with the agenda.
I second that motion, so we can let's have discussion. So John, did you have items you wanted to modify?
Yeah, resident Marie Kane shared with the board members her concern about the administrative process of the board. She did a lot more than that. And we were all here, so I would think that my fellow board members would support me on that, she basically said we're a laughing stock of the town and that we should all grow up. That is not reflected by administrative process of the Board of Health. Marie Kane, one of the most respected residents in the state of Massachusetts, not even the town of Ashland, comes and scolds this board. That should be documented. That's out of respect to her.
I'd like to remind everyone that there are videos and audios of these meetings, and statements are very clearly made. I think that when we take people's words and try to interpret their meaning, it gets us into difficult places. I think it's better to summarize.
If we can't interpret what she said, then we got big problems.
Well, there's always,
So what would you propose to add?
Her actual statements. Her actual statements. Citizens, and listen, Ron, you're new, and KG and Judy don't agree with me. The biggest thing that we do here is we serve the public. We work at the public's will. Citizens' participation, to me, Susan Roby's in the audience tonight, she knows this is a selectman. I'd let anybody talk and I'd keep her at meetings all night long, because the most important thing that we do in any public service, you're an assessor, you're a planning board, you're a selectman, you're a board of health, is you listen to the public. And when the public takes the time out of their busy life to come here and voice a concern or a complaint at town hall, it should be documented properly, in my opinion, and it should be respected. If you don't agree with it, it should still be given the respect. And if a citizen takes the time to get up and say difficult things, I believe, and it's fine if others don't, that they should be quoted properly and in the proper context should be noted. It's not easy getting up there at that podium, even when you want to come here and say something nice, much less when you want to come here and say something bad. And what time was that? That was late at night. It was 9 o'clock-ish, right? So I just think that we should always have the utmost respect for citizens and citizens' participation.
It's rather a good idea, but we need to put it in practice. We have not done it in the past. It's better.
Yeah, I think we have.
Rich Venezuela came in and then he spoke about it. He was so enraged about the way that he was treated. And things are not listed there. And then it has been a practice here to concisely report what they said and put it in. I'm sure Mark Sassoni has made statements here which is not verbatim written up any time. And I made statements here in front of this board as well as the Board of Selectmen. Nothing goes as verbatim as I stated.
So you disagree?
So
Okay,
no,
that's
it's not disagree that, but if you do want to put it, we need to have a uniform policy to do it, which we don't seem to adhere to, but we shouldn't be taking certain things and putting it, and selectively putting it. We should adopt whatever you want. If you want the entire things to be spoken, you can probably take a clip of it and put it in there, people to click on it and listen to it as we go along in the minutes. It's possible. Technology allows that.
I think I totally appreciate citizens' participation. I think it's really great. I also believe that citizens should be using our email address at boardofhealth@ashlandmass.com and making sure that they connect with the board, because I believe that oftentimes that connection is not the best connection. And that is one of the things that I would hope that we as a board can work through, is better connecting with our community and making sure that we spend time on public health needs. The thing with citizens' participation, though, is that by definition, board meetings are board meetings. If any board, whether it's the finance committee or any other board, the library trustees, if they spend a considerable time of their meetings listening to citizens and not doing the work, then that interferes with the need of the entire community, and we must balance that. So,
Can I ask for clarity on that?
as much as we all obviously share that interest in having the citizens' input, there must be some balance so that we don't spend an hour of a 2-hour meeting when we have important topics. There's a House Street landfill out there. There is a Nyanza site. There are multitudes of different, we have cannabis legislation that's in discussion. We have budgeting issues. As mundane as that may sound to some, it is the bread and butter of how public health gets done in the town. And if we are taking our time and not spending it on those issues, then I say, please, citizens, understand there may only be 15 or 20 minutes, because we are volunteers. We don't have 40 hours every week to volunteer. And because the Ashland Department of Public Health is, in my opinion, understaffed, we are carrying a burden that I suspect other boards don't have to carry in terms of time commitment, in terms of researching, in terms of better understanding topics as they come in front of us. And going to the staff needs that help. And for us, anyway, I've said,
A point of order.
I've said enough.
How is this all morphed from my one comment about a resident saying something? I thought we were approving minutes for June 6th.
Yep, let's get back to the minutes. I'm fine. Do you have any questions?
Do you want to add that, John? Are you going to feel comfortable doing this unless it's a hybrid of other things? Because if it's important, then we should add it.
I once again stress, any public I vehemently disagree with the chair.
So you
No,
think,
I'm just,
you think that it
I
should
was
be in there.
I was
I
deferring,
respect that opinion.
I was deferring to my fellow board members. If you guys are
Okay,
fine
yeah.
with that, but I don't think that's a true representation of what happened.
Okay, fine. So then that's
But
something
if you
we
guys
should do.
don't disagree, that's fine. I mean, I'm
It's not. It's,
I'm always
it's,
fine with
it's
not being,
everybody. It's
I'm
not-
very often the consensus opinion, so. And
I
I
want
sometimes
to-
wear that as a badge of honor.
I want to say that in these minutes, we have, how long are the minutes? The minutes are 3.5 pages. We have one full page of citizens' participation in here. And if we're going to expand on Marie Kane's, then it would only be fair for Mark Dissoni to put in a paragraph, or Steve Mitchell,
Good
or
point.
Debbie Colonna, or Rich Chapin, or Steve Morgan, or Joe Mignani.
Okay.
Marie Kane's statement could be reworded. My suggestion would be is that it be consistent with the rest of the minutes, and that would be my suggestion. So do we have a specific wording that one would like to change Marie Kane's words, these words to?
I think that we should quote her on it. We should go back and review the tape and quote her. And I think we should extend the same respect to Chairman Mignani at the time.
So to you, should we adopt this and then come back and amend it? Is that what you would prefer? Or would that be okay with you?
I'm fine with that.
Okay. So if no amendment as of now, and then we'll be amending later, then there is no discussion. We should probably
Okay.
call for
So
vote.
how does that work then, if we adopt it and then?
You can come back and then re-vote on it and amend it.
So so we should do that by next meeting.
We should
so-
do, we should do that in a timely fashion,
Okay.
next meeting or two, yep.
May I suggest possibly not within a time period, within the month, possibly? Next meeting sometimes can be a little challenging. We haven't talked about our next schedule, but.
Well, I'd make the offer to go back and review the tape and submit it in a draft form via email, and then it would be ready for, adoption. Our next meeting should probably take about 12 seconds.
Yeah, but you may have to send it to one person rather than everybody else, because
I'm well aware of that.
We don't
I'm well
want to
aware.
have that as the OML violation or something. If that's an issue, that you need to make sure that we don't violate it.
I appreciate that, thank you.
I think it would be
I don't
great.
know whether it is or not, but you probably had a better.
If
judge
I
on it.
amend it and send it to the chair, and the chair distributes it to the rest of the board.
Okay.
I think it would be
It's not my
great.
first rodeo, KG.
I think it would be great to just bring it to a board meeting. And
Which we're meeting next Tuesday, right?
Where we can discuss meetings as we move along, so.
We're meeting next Tuesday, though, correct?
Well, I was hoping we could discuss meetings at the end.
Oh, okay.
Can we go there at the very end, we'll do citizens' participation and discuss meetings? Do we have the time? I just want to make sure we're, there's a
9:11.
clock right there,
9:11.
sorry, right in front of me. Okay, so, am I hearing no more discussion? So, we have a motion to adopt the June sixth meeting minutes as drafted, that has been seconded. The DRT 6.17.1, with the,
DRT 6:17.1.
what did I say, I'm sorry.
7.1.
Help me with the words, with,
Did you write
that
these,
motion
KG, or
has
did
been
Judy write them?
amended. That motion has been amended, is that to add that we will come back to these?
Oh, yeah, two. If there is any corrections to do
If
with
there
it.
is any corrections needed, especially specifically
That's a very
concerning-
vague motion. I mean, mine was crystal clear, I think.
Like, what would like motion to be?
Yes, please.
Why
Like
do we make the motion?
mine, my motion was that we quote Marie Kane in the proper context, along with the then chairman of the Board of Selectmen, Joe Mignani. Quote them in what they said.
So you would like to bring that as an amendment to the version of the draft at the time?
I think, yes.
So
I've said that
KG
numerous times. this evening.
KG made the amendment, would you like, made the motion, would you like to amend your motion?
I can't amend it. I've already done the motion and then he seconded it. I cannot withdraw it.
Okay, so
The
tell
board
me
has to
what
make a
you-
decision to withdraw it or amend it. I cannot do it because that's a standing motion according to the Robert rule. My motion is.
I've
Thank
made
you.
my motion. It would require a second, Madam Chair, if it was going to move forward.
You can't put a motion when there is a primary motion there. You can only
So-
amend the motion.
so
You want
And
to
I've-
amend the
I've-
motion.
Please
I-
explain
I will do it for
to
the
me
seventh time.
how
I
one
would like to
withdraws a
amend
motion so we can read.
the
Yes.
motion.
The motion
to
is
quote-
already in the board's
So
hand.
should we, so
If
so
I
let's.
say I want to withdraw the motion, the board has to vote on that motion to withdraw first. And then that has to succeed. Because the board owns the motion now because once it's been seconded, I don't own it anymore. So if I have to withdraw it, you have to put a,
I would recommend, actually, my thought is that we could just adopt it and then, in a good faith effort, come back at the first meeting that John is attending. Or actually, it's not gonna be the first meeting because there may be a meeting where, I don't know.
Thought we were going to discuss that later. But it seems like it's already been
We
decided.
can just withdraw that and then we'll
Wonder how that
accept
works.
John's motion.
Judge doesn't have a motion to adopt the minutes, though. His is to modify the motion.
so that he can amend that motion. He can amend my motion. When it's seconded, he can amend that motion. That's what he's trying to do. So can you amend my motion, John?
Let's just put it this way, guys. I think I've gotten my point across, okay? You have a motion and a second. I would ask the chair move the vote.
Okay, let's, all in favor of the KG's motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So 4-0.
Thank you, everyone. So all of the minutes have been adopted, and I really appreciate it, and I thank everyone. The next item on the agenda is citizens' participation. I
Now,
guess
can I go back to this because I
Oh.
know that you have put a signature page on all these things.
yes.
So administratively, you're going to have the corrected versions typed up and ready for us to sign that, or what is the situation?
I actually have clean versions here. I don't think we made that many changes.
Okay, so you won't handwrite the changes there in that one, or how do you want to do that?
What?
It may be what?
I'm thinking we could do that administrative thing before we end the meeting.
Okay.
Can we come back to
Sure, sure, thank you.
that piece of administration?
Sure.
That
What are
would
we
be-
doing? I'm sorry, what are we doing?
What?
We're gonna sign documents? What?
We're saying, I think at the end it says the date it was adopted and then signing it over.
Why are we doing that?
That way, it's a document that is approved by the board.
So, meeting minutes that you and I approved 2 years ago without signed documents is your opinion that aren't approved
No,
documents?
I'm not casting any opinion, but this is,
Well, then what is it?
generally most of the others do it in different towns.
Most,
Most of the towns, they do it.
can you reference, point of
I'll get
reference
it for
from
you.
me?
I'll get it for you.
No, I think it's an important thing, if you're
It
going
is.
to say that most towns do, that you have an example for me to,
Offhand, I don't have it. I'll get it.
well, then maybe you should retract the statement that most towns do that, because I don't think most towns sign their minutes.
Okay, then you know that.
I
Most
do,
towns don't.
I do.
All towns don't, but some
I
do.
didn't say all towns, I
Some
said
do
most
that.
towns do not, no.
Some do that anyway in your own language, so that's fine. We're happy with it.
But can somebody explain to me why we're signing and initialing minutes now? Once again, it goes back to my original question. When did we adopt this policy and procedure?
Actually, we could review a couple of those questions. You know, unfortunately, and there felt like a need to have some meetings. And, yes, you had a conflict, you were not in attendance.
No, I did not have a conflict. The chair was aware of my conflict and chose to schedule the meeting.
Don't
Yeah.
put those words in
Yes.
anybody's
No,
mouth,
I
John.
will, because
The
I have it on
chair-
camera. I have it on camera,
There
Chair.
you go again.
No,
with
well, there I go
false
again, telling the
statements.
truth, and just combating your lies. You're right, thank you for acknowledging.
John, you just like to gin things up, and please
No,
stop
I don't like
the
how you're
ginning, John.
disingenuous.
Please stop the ginning up.
Then stop
You,
lying.
you,
Lie,
and
lie,
you.
lie.
That is not helpful, John.
It is not helpful when the
Please stop
chairman of the
making
Board of Health is
personal-
lying in public. You're right, it is
personal
not helpful.
attacks.
It is not helpful.
So, I was stating that there was a meeting where you were unable to attend, and we did go into an evaluation of our performance, starting a process. I think that discussing these questions concerning about formatting of minutes, that was actually one of the items that was on the, what was it, June 10th? June 10th. Do we have June 10th? June 10th.
June 10th?
Was identified by the group of three as something. I'm sure that we have minutes in here. So when we
Do we have that?
hopefully have an interest in coming back to this process of our performance evaluation, of us doing a performance analysis so that we can identify what the questions, concerns, and problems are and the opportunities. When we can come back to this, communication.
Do you have a
probably-
copy of the June 10th meeting minutes?
It was in the packet of the June 14th. It'd be this,
First set of 3 minutes that we accepted.
I do not have a copy of the June 10th meeting minutes.
I probably have it.
So I was excluded from the meeting and I don't have the meeting minutes.
I'm sure they came in an email, but I probably have an extra
Well,
copy
it is a
here.
public meeting and we're referencing a document, so the
probably
board
have a
should
copy
have
here.
all the proper
Do you
documentation.
have the 14th?
I do.
Okay, so the 14th would be the 12th and then the 10th. It would be on the very back side of that.
That was the first one that I
Say
made
that
a
again,
change.
I'm sorry?
That was the first one I made a change on that adjournment
The
time.
AM, PM.
Yeah.
So the June 12th minutes are
June-
actually the June 10th minutes?
No, June 10th. You have that. Remember I made an amendment to that timing that was set adjournment at 10:30 a.m. I made it p.m.
Oh, yeah, okay,
looking
I've
for
got
the
those
10th?
too.
Yeah.
June 10th, okay.
I don't have Anita's.
June 10th, okay. And where is it that we said we were gonna change it?
So this was just an activity that we participated in. This is just a list of kind of random thoughts and ideas. There is nothing.
So we're
here
referencing something that didn't happen, okay.
No, we had a collaborative event that we put down some random thoughts as a beginning of a conversation. And somewhere in here, there is a reference to our meeting minutes on that table. Was one of the items that one of the three of us came up with. And I can't, timely acceptance of meeting minutes under enhanced transparency. It's how we, so it's in the middle of the page with the long table.
What
It's
page
at the-
number?
Page number 3.
3.
So timely acceptance of meeting minutes is something here that when we,
But that's timely
That's-
acceptance, that doesn't say format, signatures, documentation, or anything. Just says
So-
timely acceptance, which
so-
is just a standard practice of any board. So, once again, I asked the question, when did we agree as a board to change the process and say that we're going to sign things? It says here, timely acceptance of meeting minutes, not even anything close to what you're referencing.
so what we went through, it's described on page 2, is we went through what was known as the ADDIE model, and we did a needs analysis activity, which was giving us all an opportunity to just share some random thoughts, which would bring us to potential questions, concerns, problems. This table is not by any means, and it says that very clearly in how these minutes are drafted, it's just a beginning. It's a baby step. It's the first step with trying to get us to a point where we can evaluate what may be going wrong and taking us to a place where we can start identifying some objectives and some goals to work for in order to get to a better performance or better place.
And that's a great step that you did that, but unfortunately, what you didn't do was include the entire board in that exercise.
So here to answer the
So
question.
you scheduled a meeting
I'm
at
still
8:30 on a
speaking.
Saturday
I am
morning
still
without the
speaking,
entire
John.
board.
John, I am still speaking.
I understand that. I'm just disagreeing with you.
So timely acceptance of meeting minutes is still, is on here more as someone identifying that there was something about our meeting minutes that isn't working. So the idea would be to come back to some of these topics and expand on that. So obviously, in the questions about how best to format is something that we should come back to.
But you're talking about speed in there. You're not talking about efficiencies or
But
formatting.
as I said, these are not words to be held to any.
Well, then why are we approving minutes that we're not going to
No,
hold
well-
to a high standard? I mean,
well, no,
isn't
because-
that kind of go against everything that we stand for?
Because the paragraphs before, I could read the paragraphs before.
I wish you would,
You want me to read that entire page?
if you so feel like you have to. But
Well,
what I've
I
heard is that
believe that-
your meeting minutes don't hold a high standard of accountability. So I'm just like
Oh, John, there you
bewildered.
go again.
I'm bewildered.
Pointing
Your words,
fingers,
Madam Chair.
Creating antagonistic behavior. There
I
you
know.
go again, John. Please stop it.
I know. Why don't
Okay,
you-
it
more
says
Donald
very
Trump things
clear
are
in
coming.
here that, let's see, several points were emphasized. The need to have full board member engagement in the process of creating a positive change. 2, offering a willingness to engage with mutual respect and supporting a culture that says sharing and exploring is okay in a safe space. The process is dynamic with the intention of improving results, and anything that is implemented will itself go through a process of continual quality improvement. Defining the problem, concern, opportunity would be done in the context of the desired outcome. What is the desired outcome and what steps are needed to reach this outcome? The members also discussed another model, then it goes on and on and on. So what was the motion? So that really went to our
Oh, it's not
sticky-
there. Oh,
That
okay.
was our sticky note.
It's not there.
So members agreed to discuss at future board meetings. Design a process that includes input from board members, town personnel, and citizens to the degree possible. Define public health priorities to assist in creating performance objectives. So what we were doing here was going through what would be an exercise. It was nothing more than an exercise, but it's the first baby step on getting us to look at ourselves and create a better environment going forward. That's what this is. I hope that there is opportunities
With
at
not the
meetings-
entire board present.
I would hope that there is plenty of opportunities going forward. We will talk about board member meetings and the availability in just a moment. We do have someone who arrived. We have citizens' participation if there's anyone here who would like to make comments. Is there anyone that would like to, citizens' participation? Thank you. Excuse me, that was quite. Hi, Mark.
Hi. And on mark the zoning, 29 Hawthorne Road. And on your agenda sheet, after minutes and citizen participation, adjournment is at 10? Could you announce the time you started citizens' participation? There's a reason why I'm asking, have you do that.
Mark, there's a clock. You want?
9:25, Mr. DeSoni.
Thank you.
Chair being disrespectful to the public again.
Now-
9:25, isn't it?
That's what I just said, 9:25, didn't I?
John, that comment was out of order. Please
Well, in
stop.
my opinion, you were disrespectful to Mr.
Please stop
DeSoni.
your cutting remarks, which
Then
do
be
not
polite.
generate an atmosphere of collegiality. Your comments bring us to a bad place.
Your behavior
You
defines
did
this
not
board, and
need
you
to
were
make
rude
that
to a resident.
childish comment, John. That is what causes the discord at these meetings.
No, I don't agree with that. Thank you.
So, Mark, continue, please.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ekrovich. I'm gonna start off by saying I was downstairs at your 3 meetings in rooms B and C. And the first meeting there was on the agenda, the House Street landfill. The rest, the House Street landfill was talked about for maybe 20 minutes. My question to you, Mrs. Chairman, when you were at the table your first year, this is to you, Ms. Chairperson, you said, and if I'm wrong, correct me, that the Board of Health is the most important job in this town. Is that still true today?
Excuse me, what was the last piece you said?
The,
Board of Health is the most important, you said what?
yeah, is that still true today, from the year when you first were on the board?
I don't suspect I said it's the most, because that to me says that other ones are inferior. I might have said that it is a very important piece of the town. It is a highly important role, yes. That I would have said.
Okay, and to the board as a whole, would you say that this town is being served correctly?
In terms of public health?
In terms of public health, in the way, from that first year you were on to now, is this town being served purposely and correctly?
I think that's a much more complex question to answer. That's not something that one can do in a one-liner.
Okay, I'll make it in a less complex way.
So I actually would appreciate hearing your thoughts, Mark.
And this is my thoughts.
This isn't a time for me to speak, so this is a time for
okay.
you to speak.
Citizens' observation on how the board has been going on. When they first were together 2 years ago to now, observation. No character assassinations, no nothing. There has been no health issues correctly in Robert's Rules of Order and agenda-wise spoken of this town since there's been a reorg. That's observation. No character assassinations, but it's coming down to the word I. Ashland Town has no I. And I have said, as I said on I did a recent show in early April, before elections, before things really hit the fan, as I see it. This board has not approved, has not shown a board committee understanding that this town, as former Chairman Mignani said during his 5-town meeting, that we've been the laughingstock and most towns don't want to work with us. The 3 meetings downstairs in room B and C, and now this, and the meeting on June 6th, if we can have a better government, we would. But this is a bad show for what government isn't. Thank you.
You have to bear with me. I have never done this before.
Oh, Susan, you've been at these.
I have never spoken at citizens' participation. I got out of my gym class, I went home, I watched TV, and I am appalled by what I saw when I turned on the TV. I am so embarrassed to be a member of this community right now. It doesn't need to be this way. And I don't mean to be a jerk and stand here and yell at people, but come on, people, we gotta work together. We can do so much more. I went to your retreat. I walked out of there so inspired. Said, we're gonna put this all behind us. And we come here and we do the exact same thing tonight. Why? Why can't we look at the community and say you deserve better than this? We're talking about minutes. Minutes are important, but look at all the minutes that are on the website. We don't need to create a new way of doing minutes. KG, you're on the Conservation Commission. Do you sign the minutes? Do you do them verbatim? Do you summarize things? I think there's a lot of things we can do. I'm not trying to be critical of you guys. I'm not trying to criticize. I've been doing minutes for 10 years. Every board that I've worked for wants things a little bit different than another board. Okay, so I create the minutes the way the board wants it. It's the board's minutes. But I'm staff. I don't vote, to Judy's point, I don't vote on the minutes. I'm there to give them the support that they need. You're volunteers. You shouldn't have to be typing minutes. If they're not getting done the way you want them done, explain what you want done. But minutes are just that. Minutes are a summary. Minutes are not to, if Mark gives a report, it should be included. Mark talked about X, Y, and Z. It doesn't need to say, Mark said the water was gray when you looked in the hole. We don't care. Mark talked about the color of the water. We've spent all of this time. You guys have other things to do with your time, and I applaud you all. I know I'm coming off really harsh. I'm just really frustrated. I applaud you for your dedication. I really do. I appreciate it as a resident of the town. But we need to find a way to work together as a group. I go into other communities, and what do people talk about? We can all pretend that they're not talking about our Board of Health, but they are. Every community around us, when we're on the front page of the paper, they say, great, we're not above the fold today. It's Ashland Board of Health. Yep. We don't want that legacy here. Come on. We are much better than that. We're a great community. We have great residents here. Let's work together and let's move past it. Let's stop having fellow board members resign from the board, walk out of meetings. I mean, Ron, you've said it a million times. We're a group of 5. Let's work as a group of 5. And you know what? We don't all have to like each other. We don't have to go out to dinner, but we do have to work together collectively. And putting additional stress into the community is not a healthy environment. And if we're the Board of Health, let's find a way to work together to make it a healthy place for people to live and a vibrant community. And again, I apologize if I'm coming off harsh. I really do appreciate everything that you guys all do. So thank you.
Just to have one statement to make. I know I respect your work here, help here, that you've done it over the years to me as well as the Board of Health, particularly recently did a great job for me. But I do work in 3 different committees, and I've gone through Cultural Council, Charter Review, and the Board of Health as well as the Conservation Commission. Each one is a different committees, each one does differently their job. So we could do differently our own job as such. So if I want to compare to Conservation Commission, there's something else comes in.
Right.
Let me finish. There, the minutes come in a Word format with a line number, which probably comes for the selectmen too in the same fashion.
No.
Here it doesn't come here, okay? And there, the invoices come there in front of the Conservation Commission for some of the payment that I've seen in the past couple of years. Here it doesn't, but each one is done differently. So that's one factor. The other thing is, I'm sure you were there in the meeting when we were discussing about the sticky notes that day. And both of us made clearly a statement saying that the sticky note entries and documentation doesn't end right here. We need to get the input from the other 2 members. We did say that.
We said that
We did not terminate that decision of getting.
We never criticized anyone.
No,
So
and I said I
said
left.
anything negative about
we have
anyone.
made an effort to come forward. And let me lay here in this room here. When she joined and I joined,
If you go back to the recordings, we didn't have a video recording at the time. She was the one who made sure that this is a TV recording done on this one. It was voted down by the board at that time. And we were fighting for it to get it back. And because we did it, citizens were aware of what goes on in the board. Plus, if you go back to the records of the town, according to what we have learned from the previous statements made here, that there has been very minimal or no complaints about noise, air pollution, other stuff. But there has been more increased noise complaint and as well as air pollution, everything. How did it come up? Because people came to know that the Board of Health has this issue that can be solved by them, so they're bringing it to us. So we have been the vehicle for them to address their difficult situations to us.
Well, to that point, I have to say, in the role that I work in, I deal with a lot of those things. Those things are becoming more popular right now. As the town gets built out, we have a lot of residential right up against our businesses.
Yeah.
That creates a lot of those issues.
A lot of tension,
So I'm
absolutely.
not gonna say those issues weren't there 10 years ago. They were, but I think they're more magnified now is probably the best way to put it.
Well, I've heard it the contrary too, in the same old room here many times, but I agree. You know, it may not be very apparent to us or very blatantly known for us in the past, but things are becoming more clearer for people where to address the situation, just because that we went on the TV. And as one of the selectmen put it, that he will use this board's time to publicize the event because most people watch it. We have become a bulletin board for them. So they wouldn't make an announcement in their selectman's office because they don't watch that much, because they think that watch our show, and that's what they said, our show. All right?
I'm
Thank
glad
you.
you could come the other night when
I'm
actually it
sure.
was night, it was morning, it was
Right, you
Saturday morning.
She
Um,
spent the night to help us out on that day for the
The morning, the
Shell gas
Saturday-
station.
Oh, I'm talking about Saturday morning,
Saturday.
but yes, the Saturday morning when we did the little sticky note exercise to start talking about where we could perform.
But I did it
improve
because I
performance.
want to see everyone succeed. I'm not here to try to, I know, Judy, a lot of times you feel like I'm against you because my mom's on the board. It couldn't be further from the truth.
I'm glad you came.
Yeah, no, look,
We all should
we
talk
can only
more.
extend our hand. If the other person doesn't extend the hand to shake hand, it doesn't become a shake hand.
Agreed.
Okay?
Okay, so thank you. I won't take up any more of your time.
Thank you, thank you for
Thank
bringing
you.
it.
Thank you.
Please be free to come back again anytime and then.
No,
let us
if I
know.
never speak of that again, I would be very happy.
John Featherston, 98 Heritage Avenue. I'm stepping out of my seat as a Board of Health member and as a taxpayer of the town of Ashland. I am deeply concerned about how this board has said that they do not want to use legal counsel, and tonight made it perfectly clear that they do not want to use the administrative staff. What is going to be the cost to the town of those two actions? And I guess I will direct my question to the chair as a taxpayer.
Would everyone like?
You said tonight that we are understaffed.
I'm sorry, is that the only question, or is you had other
I'm
questions?
sorry, I thought I was speaking. You said tonight that the Board of Health staff is understaffed, yet your actions tonight caused a member to leave the meeting upset. So how do you justify that to a taxpayer? I'll take your answer as that you don't have one. Thank you for your time.
No, John, I wanted to make sure that you were.
time.
I would suggest to people who come up to this microphone, when that is the response, and that is the attitude, and that is the, thank you for your time.
Well, you didn't answer my question.
Look, and the interruptions, this does not facilitate communication. This doesn't facilitate anything. So when he hesitated the first time, I started to talk, and then I was told I was interrupting him, so then I made sure I waited. And then it was, you're now responding to me, because there's a personal attack here going on. And I would
It wasn't a personal attack.
I would suggest that the priority here is to attack me and not to address public health. So if we would address
Madam
health
Chair, if I
and
may,
public health,
with your responsibility as the
still
chair,
talking.
as your chair
I'm
is
still
the board,
talking
you
because
assume
I
the
would-
responsibility.
I would like-
The
see-
fact that you did not
see-
answer my
see,
question
this right now.
Madam Chair, if you
I am
can't run a
about to
meeting, I can't
attempt
help you.
John.
I am about to try to attempt
John,
to answer.
You're
the
not
question.
answering my question.
I am
What is the
attempting
impact to
to.
a taxpayer of council and
This
administrative
is
staff
why
being
we
run out?
have a problem.
Yes, that you are absolutely correct. A problem that you've created because you caused
This
staff to
is
run out of the
why
room
we have
tonight.
a problem.
I
Look
want
at
an
the-
answer as a
look at
taxpayer,
the
Madam Chair.
method of communication here.
I think it's an easy question for you to answer. You can
So
say
one
you
can
don't
ignore
know,
it. One could try to address it.
yet you've done neither.
One could, how does one address this behavior?
It's a simple
Because
question.
it continues.
If you don't
Every
answer-
single meeting, there is an attack on me personally. Every single meeting.
then stop doing the things you get attacked for. My mother
So-
used to say, if you don't like getting yelled at, John, don't do the things you get yelled at for. Thank you for your time.
So, would you like me to answer your questions?
No, because it's disingenuous at this point, but thank you.
See, there's an attack, an unwillingness to listen. Hmm? Mark?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm actually
Mark,
if I can-
may I just say personally, like, quickly?
I'm glad I'm facing you now.
There is no, it really was an intent. It's an
Don't-
intent to try to get the minutes for us, the five of us to work on
Oops.
them. So please continue.
Yep.
I just
No,
want you
and
to know
if
that
I
there
wasn't
is-
here to bring that up, but I'm
Okay.
glad I'm seeing all the members now. I've been a public servant for many years, and I've never sat at a meeting like this, or the one we had the previous Saturday, where members' backs were to me. I don't like it either, and hopefully someday we can get back to the table where we can all fit. If not, I'll buy a bigger table for all of us. I just want us to be together, and that leads me to the fact that we can work better when we work effectively. I want to first of all welcome Ron. I think, Ron, you
We did
brought
do that.
a world of relief, I think, to some degree. Being a doctor, I think you have what it takes. Maybe we need some medicine, a special kind of medicine. We all do. But if I can, I'm just going to read the first paragraph from our 2010 annual report. The subject is, and it's only going to take a minute, Madam Chair. Public health is contagious. Spread the word. Author unknown. The mission of the Ashland Board of Health is to achieve the highest level of health and safety for all members of the Ashland community through adopting reasonable health regulations, promoting health education, providing prevention measures, ensuring emergency preparedness, and monitoring environmental factors. One more sentence. Our board works as a team, the elected board members and the board's professional staff. Hyphen, to access the public health's needs, enforce state and local public health and environmental health regulations. I hope we can continue that way. I was really taken back when Mary left the room. She's been, and I have to say, you know, I've known Mary since my daughter was 1. My daughter's now 25. She served back then. We all need to respect each other. And hopefully, as I mentioned at the beginning, I'm only here a point of information. John can let you know, I'll respect my members. You know, I'll lead you if I feel the course is being put in the wrong direction as it relates to technical and whatever else it may relate to keeping the board within the legal parameters of what we do. But, you know, I've been here, and I'm not going to say how long, but I just hope we get back. You know, we've hit rocky roads before. I hope get off this rocky road and continue to do the best for our town. I know everyone here has that intent. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. So citizens' participation is over. John, excuse me.
Connor Donovan, 511 Main Street, also the guy who records your meetings. I just wanted to say that all the boards, when they approve minutes, they usually do sit around that table because it's like the ease for WACA to record it and for everybody to see you is a lot better that way. And it's also not a work meeting, so I just kind of assumed since it was a public meeting, you'd all be sitting around there. And all this talk about going back and looking at older meetings to kind of use them for minutes or to go back and look at something kind of brings to my point that I'm not here to tell you what to do, but it's kind of important the role that WACA plays in these government meetings. So I would ask that, please, just, what is this? Like, why? Like, you said why, but I don't get it. So, sorry. That's all. Thank you.
Should I clarify that we actually set this up a half hour before the meeting started? I also had emailed Barbara.
We set it up a half hour before
Well,
the meeting?
more than one person is we, John, but please don't interrupt me.
So two people did.
Please don't interrupt me. And Barbara Chisholm already knew about it beforehand, and Barbara has also told me, which is really great, that all the boards in Ashland are going to be recorded. So I am really looking forward to all those meetings that are held downstairs to be recorded. I think it's really great for transparency. Sorry.
Hi, Sandy Eskovitz, 57 Hardwick Road. This is actually, I guess, my first meeting. I too had the same reaction as Susan Roby. I was actually home, got out of my house and came down here, not for the sake of my husband, obviously, but for the sake of everybody in this town. I'm shocked at what I see. I have a husband that works 1 million hours a week that has been spending an enormous amount of time, sacrificing weekends, his family, and everything else. And obviously, you're all volunteers. We appreciate everybody's time. As an HR professional, if you were a corporation, you would be out of business.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I know you know this, and I don't also want to be, as Susan wrote, you know, we're not here to lecture. We need you to figure out how to get past where you are, and just like any other corporation, you have to figure this out or you will go out of business.
Mm-hmm.
I have offered my services. I will bring in somebody independently if you think I am too biased to help you from a perspective of what you're trying to do. There are several models that we could talk about that could get you guys to understand roles and responsibilities, and so that these meetings would become more effective. I understand we use Robert's Rules of Order. We're not in the 1900s, okay? This is a much more modern society. I'm not suggesting we throw everything out the window, but you're all adults. We've all worked in either companies or academia or wherever you come from. And I know for sure you know how to conduct yourselves as adults. If you ever spoke to each other this way, to your spouses, to your children, at your place of employment, I assure you, you wouldn't be wherever it is that you are. We're asking you as a town. You've heard several people come up here. You've heard this go on and on. You must find a way to get past this. Get over yourselves. I'm sorry. Get over yourselves and focus on this town. And if you do not think that you are capable of doing that, then you need to be respectful of the rest of this community, and you need to step down. And that's all I have to say. And if I can be of service, I'd be happy to do it. Thanks.
That's very nice.
How do we reach out to you?
I continue to hear the same words. I don't know how to get past what I see here, because I am attacked every meeting, and
I think
how does that
I
happen?
think Mark said it. You have to. It is not about I. You said it. There is no I in team. Okay, you are a team. Get over it. I don't care. I don't care what happened in the past. I don't think anybody in this town
But
cares.
it happened right
Stop.
here.
Stop. I understand. Stop. You have to stop. Okay. You have to just move on. You have to be able to move on. The bickering, it just doesn't get us anywhere. So rise above it. I know it's hard. Ron and I have talked honestly about how we could bring this group together. We've talked about having you all over to our homes with your families so that we could all just get to know each other. And again, we're open to doing that if you think it would help. But you've got to stop this. Nobody cares what happened in the past. I understand everybody has personal feelings. We all have personal feelings. It's hard to move past it. I don't have the silver bullet. I don't. None of you, if we all had it, we'd be here, right? You guys would be talking about town business. I wouldn't be sitting here lecturing, which I feel is what I'm doing, and I really don't mean to be doing that. I just think you guys have to stop worrying about what was done and figure out what are the issues that this town is trying to grapple with, right? We have so many things going on. We have an enormous amount of activity and growth in this community, and there's a lot of issues going on. Focus on the issues, and that will bring you together. You have to find the common ground. You're all on this board for a reason. The reason is you care about this town. There's your starting point. Put everything else aside. Pick the most important topic like any organization would do. What are your top priorities?
Yep.
Determine them, agree on them together. You might not all agree that everything is, you'll go back and forth. Some may take priority over others. Priorities change all the time. But come to a common ground. This is not the common ground. 3 people at one table, 1 person at another table. And honestly, I missed the whole 2 hours of the meeting. So I really shouldn't be standing here talking. I just wanted to say, I think, you know, there are ways to get past it, and you just need to hear what the town is saying and put the town first.
Thank you.
It's very nice of you,
So,
thank you.
I wanted to get on to our not our minutes, but on to our next meetings. So, John, would you like to, please join us, John, pull up a chair.
I think it would be a nice
please,
gesture if you
sure.
guys came up here and support staff
I'll turn
and as
around.
a
I will turn
some
around.
unity.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
I just told John we should go sit with you, so that's a good start.
Minutes anymore?
And Ron's coming up here, so it's a good start.
This is where this is where the board
This is-
meets, this is where the board does its business.
Thank you, board members, I appreciate
It's
it.
a very nice gesture of you, Ron, thank you.
We can't meet anywhere else.
No, thank you, I appreciate it. Okay, like I said, let's get past this. Let's move on.
So, we had started a process, which Susan Roby felt was really good, and I think that when we walked out of there, I think that there was generally a very good reception to it. We've been aboard now for 2 weeks, this new board. 2 weeks, and we've had 4 meetings, I think, in 2 weeks, maybe?
Just gonna move the mic, please.
I don't think you're on the mic there.
He needs the mic, do you?
Does that work?
Is that good, Gus? KG, you need one too.
So, at one of those, I guess Mark was right that we haven't done a lot of public health in the last 2 weeks. What I've been trying to do is go to some of those administrative things that need to be what I would see as foundations. So I guess there's 2 things that I'd like to talk about is next week there's the possibility of, I know of at least 1 meeting, possibly 2. Then we have a 4th of July coming the week after. We can't act as a board, we can't get to either public health topics or our board topics unless we have meetings, because we're a public body. We can't just talk about everything anywhere. We are very restricted in how and when we can get things done. So the one thing I would like everyone's input in is when does everyone think that we can get together? Hopefully sooner rather than later. And then the other thing is there interest in going forward with what we had started in this exercise of trying to identify what the questions, concerns, and problems are, and looking for opportunities, then going on to potentially creating some goals and objectives for us based upon what we had identified. So 2 questions. When can we have our process? When can we meet? Whether that's for public health or for administrative things. And the other one is, do we want to continue the discussion that we started?
Well, you've already posted for next Tuesday, am I correct?
Yes, I did, but postings
So I've
can
made
come
arrangements
down.
based on your posting to be available next Tuesday. Because that's the right thing to do. You scheduled a meeting, so I've made arrangements to do that. I don't understand why we would have 2 meetings next week if we've already got 1 meeting posted.
The other one, I wanted to ask if there was interest in going to the Nyanza Advisory Committee meeting, because if there are 3 of us, I think we should post it, so therefore when we sit there, it doesn't have to be horribly formal, but when we sit there, if we want to offer opinions, it is part of a public process we don't have to be part of their meeting unless obviously we're invited to be. We could still sit like we did the last time, you know, around the exterior, you know, around the corners of the room. Yet, if there were 3 of us or more interested in coming to that on Thursday, we could always do something administratively the 15 or 20 minutes before, like adopt a set of minutes, get some of those things that, you know, we could just use our time efficiently if we're there. So that was my thought with the possibility of 2 meetings.
Well, if I could interject, please.
Sure.
I'm a member of the committee, and that's by design anyway. So you always have a person who, and Mark is a member of the committee as well, any resident, if you're on the Board of Health or if you're just a resident, you're always welcome at the meeting. The chair is a little bit probably more liberal in allowing participation, and it kind of scares me from an open meeting standpoint because you have, you know, more than 3 Board of Health members there. It gets a little hairy. The reason why you have a Board of Health representative is to represent the board, and that person brings back the information to the board. I mean, anybody's always welcome. Just to be aware, I am going to be running into that meeting. The chair is already aware that I won't be there to that meeting until 7:05 because of work, and I'm always at the mercy of the Mass Pike. So if I'm 5 minutes late, it's usually because the Mass Pike is backed up. So I wouldn't be available to meet on Thursday at 15 minutes before 7 o'clock, if that's what you were asking. But we have an open agenda on Tuesday. I think we can get a lot of work done because I had sent you my wishes to be on tonight's agenda, 1 being the marijuana task force, 2 being the landfill. I am deeply concerned about what's going on up at the landfill, or more importantly, what's not going on up at the landfill, and the marijuana task force. And I'm also asked that the opiate conversation be placed on the next agenda. So I think those are 3 immediate public health issues. And though I am outspoken in that I don't see the urgency that other board members feel, I do feel that we should discuss the bus lot as well, but I think we need to be careful in that discussion because that is in front of another board, as we're all aware. So I think that's a full meeting right there. But if nobody disagrees or wants to add something.
What are the boards with that bus company?
The ZBA?
I thought they did decide on that.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. Have you read the decision?
Not completely, but.
Well, I would suggest that we all read it before we make public opinions on it. And that's why I'm saying that we need to be careful with it.
And if I may,
I
point
read
of
3 quarters of
information,
it.
and just a quick point, I know time's almost out. That was some people came in today to appeal it, so whatever we do, you could be subpoenaed. So just be aware that it might be wise to talk to legal counsel before we go any further with that.
It's a slippery
So
slope, but
I-
we've got enough stuff.
I do plan to attend the 29th Lands Committee meeting, so it may be worth.
I plan to be there too.
Yeah, so it may be worth posting it so that we don't inadvertently violate the open meeting law.
I'm happy with it. The hour's getting late, so I want to say that everything John shared is his priorities. I also share. I mean, I think we should be talking about, I call it cannabis, not marijuana.
Do we?
I think that
I
we
think
should
that's
be
the
talking
actual,
about.
I think that's the term they're using now. They're no longer calling it marijuana. They're calling it cannabis. Yeah.
Yeah, I beat him when I came there once. No, I just said I said something. But landfill, I completely agree. I had shared this, I think, in an email with Mark, and then I think it got shared with other members, that I had reached out because of the cannabis thing to see if we could start a more community discussion. And I've reached out to a couple community members. There's actually a possibility of someone coming from another town, so that we, instead of being kind of superficial, we could, a lot of people gave us really great feedback when you invited, and that worked out really great with Karen Spilka and Jack Lewis and Treasurer Collins, and that worked out great. So it was that concept. Instead of us all being administrative, we could start on some public health stuff. And I thought, that's something I know you and I share, and it is very topical. It's time, sensitive, you
Well,
know.
it would be topical because they're voting on it on Thursday, the new revisions.
Senate or just the House?
House version is
So,
being voted.
so,
Madam Chair,
I was with,
think-
oh, it's 10 o'clock?
10, can I extend it, make a motion
The
to extend
doors
it
are
for another
locked. The
5
door-
minutes?
Doors are locked, that's the only problem.
10 o'clock?
The door's locked at 10, yeah.
So if, I guess what I would like is that someone, that possibly, because the time is short, that if we can agree that that's an important topic, just let me do whatever kind of I can pull together for Tuesday. And then possibly toward the end of that meeting, possibly at the end of that meeting, we could spend a lot of time with a few other things, maybe organizational in terms of how we want to schedule our next meetings and how we want to put different items, attach those to different meetings. One of the things that I noticed when people were emailing me is that our availabilities are not really good together.
No.
So we need to figure out, and I know there's an interest in staying on the same schedule, and some of that may work, but some of it may not work. I mean, the obvious thing is July 4th is on a Tuesday. That would be a normal meeting date.
Well, town hall would be closed, too.
And it would be it would be logical, especially if we're trying to get things rolling.
We can't hold a meeting anyway, even if it's town hall is open. That's against the law. How they do
I'm
that?
not
Tell me.
suggesting that we do.
Yeah, no.
But we may want to do one Wednesday or Thursday that week. I mean, why let the time kind of tick by when we got lots of things? So would I have the board's support to kind of put together a program for next Tuesday and then allow maybe a half hour where we could discuss how to organize what we want to do going forward? Is that okay with folks?
Well, as I put in a couple emails to you, Mary's availability mirrors mine, and I only know that because I've worked with Mary for 15 years in the town. I'm only available for night meetings, 100% commitment to Tuesday nights or Wednesday evenings. And I know that might not agree with everybody else's, but I know Mark isn't available on Monday nights and can't speak for anybody else, but I can commit to Tuesday or Wednesday night meetings. I can't always commit to Thursday night meetings. I have stuff that I do for the state, and I'm not going to consistently meet unless it's an emergency situation on a Friday night, because I don't think that's good public meeting etiquette. But
Yeah, but Mark, correct me. If, didn't Mary adjust her schedule for a Wednesday when I joined the board for a few months?
That was during, I believe, the afternoon.
No,
Wednesdays.
in the night, I think. Because remember,
because
I had classes when
It
I
could have
got
been.
elected, and I think they agreed to
Yeah.
move it to Wednesdays.
Typically,
Let me go back to the
Wednesdays-
Wednesday or Monday. I think they changed it
Might
for
have been
me.
a Monday. It's
So
not
Mon-
every Monday, but
Maybe I'm amenable for Wednesdays if possible.
And what's your availability on Tuesdays and
I'm
Wednesdays?
gonna make myself available whenever anybody else can make it. I'll make sure I'm there.
You
just,
can't always use this room.
I was just gonna
at
say,
But we could
Wednesdays.
meet 5 to 7, and then we'd have, because the selectmen would
Yep.
kick us out,
Yeah, we
because
met
it's their
there.
room, and they meet 7 to 9.
Because of the hour, can we bring a calendar, bring our thoughts on when, and do that on Tuesday?
But and I've said this to you in email, I think we need to be careful and we need to be respectful of other boards. Other boards, and I'm not saying that,
Yeah,
we do it because we've always done it that way, because I don't agree with that philosophy. But when we change our meeting schedule here, it has domino effects on other boards. On WACA-TV too. It's not just us that we are changing schedules on. We're changing schedules on the police. We're changing schedules on TV, staff. So we need to be, respectful of that as well too. I mean, like I said, I think it's important that we meet, but the reason why the Board of Health has always met at 7 o'clock on a Tuesday is because all the other pegs fall into alignment too. And keep in mind, if we do change something, we're gonna affect another board. I'm not saying we can't, but it does have a domino effect. This town hall is not the best for multiple meetings. The most you can have in this building is like 4 meetings going on at a time, and that's very often that happens.
and it's hard for WACA at this present point to tape except for in here unless they set up temporarily anywhere else.
It costs them about, if they were going to tape a meeting, any meeting in the basement, it's about $300 expense, because they have to hire a soundboard producer for it. Here, all the equipment's inside the room, and that's the reason why we use this room. And if you think your cable bill's high already,
Thoughts? Shall we adjourn? Shall we come back Tuesday? What's the pleasure?
are we Tuesday at 7? Are we at 7 or 8? I'm just asking.
I had actually talked to Amy Turncliffe, and I said to her if she wanted to get together something, that if she wanted to start at 7, there would be a possibility of us maybe meeting 6:45, adopting some minutes, and then recessing, and then so at 7 o'clock, her program could just kind of take off, rather than us, but then,
What's her
once again, well, it would be on the cannabis topic, and there's nothing set. I mean, I sent her an email, I think this morning, this morning I sent her an email. I talked to her yesterday at some other meeting, but it would be on the.
You're posted for 7, aren't you? I'm just asking, I think that's what I saw, yeah. 7, yeah.
Yeah, but that always can be. If she confirms, because she hasn't, it's just an initial something, I told her I'd need to know by Thursday. I was gonna send out an email asking everyone what their pleasure was, 6:45, 7 o'clock, something else. I think it's nice if we have a guest or two, and somebody comes from another town, because she may pull somebody from one of the grant programs to come with her, that we allow them that clean start, rather than having them, and that's the only reason I would start 6:45. We could do whatever we needed to do administratively for a few minutes, recess, and then 7 o'clock, come back, and then they would be ready to go with whatever.
Who's doing the meeting minutes for tonight? Are you doing?
No, we have the recording.
I will be fine.
Are you doing the meeting minutes?
I could.
Well, you're the clerk, that's why I'm asking.
I could.
We booted staff, so, I mean,
No, we
they
didn't
need to
boot
be
the
done.
staff.
We did
Yeah, we
not
did.
vote this.
We did not vote. Let's not go back to that. Let's move forward.
Should I invite Laura to the next meeting?
Yeah, should Laura be in,
Yeah.
and that was gonna be my question.
Yes?
Me?
I-
Oh, no, I'm
Madam
not.
Chair.
I thought that you need to
I
address
mean-
the question. to
Well,
the
I
chair.
think that should be a board decision, actually.
Well, that's.
I think it should be a board decision too, so I would,
How did it even become a board decision? See, once again, I'm not, and I'm moving forward, but did we agree that we weren't gonna have staff at meetings?
Nobody said anything about it.
this was just a meeting to adopt minutes. That's all we had on the agenda, was adopting minutes. So this is not your typical meeting.
So Laura.
I think that there's
should
an
be expected to
interest, I
attend
think
next week.
if Mark has an interest, Laura has an interest, I have no problem with that. I think, though, in the process of going through our own evaluation of ourselves, I think we should continue that, what we started with the sticky note thing.
Well,
I
I think we
worked.
ought to take a third party. I mean, I tried to
Yeah,
bring
third party.
mitigation to the board months ago. I think we ought to attempt to redo that. But, and I'll ask it just one last time, and it's not argumentative, it's just clarification. Somebody needs to produce minutes from tonight. I've got the audio recording, KG's got it, we've got
Oh,
the
we
tape.
didn't know that you were audio recording.
I made a special point,
You
and I
did.
said that I did.
I think the
okay. I
clerk,
didn't know.
the clerk
Okay,
can
so somebody
handle
needs to
it. So-
develop
So I
meeting minutes.
think we're good, we're good.
Yeah,
And
I'm assuming
and
that
should
Mike-
Laura come in with the expectation of doing meeting minutes next Tuesday?
Did you have a motion to do that, or do you have any change
I'm
in it?
gonna make a motion, I'm gonna make a
Well, of
motion
course,
that
yeah,
KG, I think, is on vacation.
You need to motion it.
Well, I'll make a motion that Laura attends all of our future meetings and develops minutes for our agenda, for our meetings going forward.
Any discussions? That's what you
Oh,
need to ask.
I'm sorry, it's my job. Discussion, I have a comment, but does anyone else have a comment?
The question is, does it need a motion here to do that?
There seems to be,
The question is
seems
that,
to be some tension.
I think all of this needs to be worked through as a discussion, and I think it's too premature to say we will always do this. I just think that that's jumping the gun.
I just think we're going down a slippery slope here.
no, it's,
You're affecting somebody's livelihood, their
Right.
job performance, based on what?
It will
Well,
make it
there's a-
easier. It'll make it easier
There's
for
a
the
couple
board.
things here, but it's 10 minutes after 10. I think, well, I think that a better path would be, is to have KG as clerk, work with Laura, on minutes this coming week, and then we put that on our things to do for a discussion of how we go forward. We know that there's a charter review. We know that there's a role for the town manager here. We know the organization. We know that the organizational chart, well, see, this is what we need to discuss, because I have a different perspective on
I know.
on what our organizational chart is in the town. And I think,
But that's
I
not the-
think to
that's
s-
not, it's not the purview to my motion. My motion was that Laura attend all of our meetings going forward, and it's been seconded.
well, as Laura works under the direction of Mark Orm works under the direction of the town manager, and I would not put personnel in the middle of any discussion that has to do with their work schedule. I think for us to do that then makes it very complicated for that individual, and I think it's unfair.
Yeah,
We is an interesting word.
John,
I don't
The
know where I
new,
used
the
it.
new direction of the board is not to include staff.
John.
That is not the will of the board, I do not think.
John?
Yes.
the motion right now which stands may pose a problem because it may impose her to come on days when she cannot make it because of,
Well, that should
The
be,
vacation,
that should be
holidays,
taken
and
into
things that-
consideration.
yeah, that's why you need to make that appropriately and look at that option.
I'm going to suggest that the hours after 10, and
I've
And-
suggested to the chair there's a motion with a second on the table.
right,
It
right,
needs a vote.
right, I understand that, and once again, I just would recommend that we talk about it in a more thoughtful process rather than after the posted hour of this meeting.
I would ask the chair call the vote.
And if anybody else has any other discussion?
I would rather suggest that let the fifth member of the board be there too, to make sure that she puts her input into this. And there's not going to be much difference between today and the next meeting on the 27th of June. I don't think there's a meeting going on. And so far, Laura has been attending it, and there is no vote taken on the board to make her attend it. There's no need for it. And if the manager says that she needs to attend, she will attend it.
So, we have a
And
motion, we
I
have a
cannot, I cannot control Laura, or
understand
I
your
cannot
point.
control
I
Mark,
understand your point.
because we have no authority on that.
Mrs. Estovitz is,
If you
strong
put-
words are resonating through my head. I don't agree, but I'm moving on.
Okay.
So,
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
aye.
All against? Aye.
I abstain,
2-1-1.
because I don't think it's in
So-
our purview to command or dictate the staff
So
members to do it. So it's
Yes,
Just-
that's.
She would like to be here,
It's not
and
dictating.
it's helpful to me.
It's not dictating, it's
I,
showing her the.
I understand. If she, if the manager wants to come here and she wants to come here, it's between her and the manager, not us.
The manager doesn't have any accountability over this board.
Or he has accountability on the staff.
Yeah, all
He has no
personnel.
accountability.
It clearly says the charter that we do not.
Okay,
we do
so
not
I would
Anyway,
entertain a
it's over.
moment to, motion
on.
to recess,
Recess
Recess
or
or
adjourn?
adjourn?
or adjourn,
Sorry.
excuse me. Thank you.
We gotta come
So
back.
moved, so moved.
So moved.
All in favor? I don't
Aye.
think we actually,
Aye.
I read this somewhere, I didn't have. Thank you.